One time for the one time. It's the family bloodline.
Man, my fingers are thick today. My goodness, sorry about that. Welcome back, family. This is another episode of the Family Bloodline Podcast. And yeah, we've got a very special show tonight. My apologies, everybody. I've been I'm off this week. I am off this week, like horribly bad. I was off Monday and it threw all of my timing off.
Monday is a key day of the week.
Yeah, oh, okay. That's
Congratulations for being off. That's good.
It was federal holiday. I wish it was because of me. I wish I would have been off because I decided to be off, not because somebody else allowed me to. But with that being said, I'm gonna switch these boxes around just a little bit, get a little better order in this place. Yes. And so first off, let me welcome back Stephanie and Lynn Mederis to the Family Bloodline Podcast. We've missed y'all.
We've
missed you all greatly.
Great to be missed. Missed you too.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for pointing out that this is Financial Literacy Month, so that we can actually get into that. And we, of course, y'all are gonna what in the world? Of course, y'all are going. y'all are gonna square us away on different points, and this is a new panel for you all because I usually have you all on a different night,
right?
And so you've not met with Richard and Deuce, which is a good look because now we've got different questions that will be able to come into play as we move throughout the night.
Hello, Richard and Deuce.
Yeah. So. Stephanie and Lynn Mederis, I know it don't have to do much and it don't take much, but if you would reintroduce yourselves to the Family Bloodline Podcast and tell us what you do, who you are, and a little bit of your background.
Okay, I am Stephanie Mederis, and I am partner with my husband Lynn Mederis right here, and we are the Mederis Group, and we are basically teaching people about financial literacy and life insurance and wealth management. I mean, it's a huge umbrella, but it's basically financial literacy and life insurance.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
She's been doing that.
Combination of 36 years.
We have 36 years of experience. I've got 33
and I got 3. So.
Did y'all start when y'all were 5 years old, or how did that work
out? No, I actually did start. I was fortunate and blessed enough to start my career right out of college. So I majored in risk management and insurance at Temple University in Philadelphia. And 5 months after I walked across the stage, I was in people's living rooms and kitchen tables talking to them about protecting their lives and their families and generational wealth through one of the best financial tools that we all have access to at our disposal, and that's life insurance. So that's what my wife and I talk about the most each and every day. But we do cover a wide spectrum. We talk to people about retirement. We talk to people about disability, long-term care, health insurance. But life insurance is our passion. And that's because, when people are having their worst day, we have the opportunity to show up with a financial contribution to the family so that they don't start from zero, or even worse, they don't start in the hole, especially when they lose the breadwinner.
And that's how I basically became interested in a partner with my husband because my mother went to heaven in 2020, and I took care of her for 10 years. And I was great on the end of taking care of her in the facility where she was. But I had a big old box of policies that my grandmother made sure that I had. And I didn't know what all of that stuff meant. So I was like, okay, God, I got her here, but I don't know what I'm gonna do when it's time for that box. You know, it was like a big gremlin sitting in the corner every time I was in my office. But by that time, when it came to that in 2020, I was married to Lynn. So to him, he spoke the language of the gremlin or of the box. So he would just say, hey, we went through all these policies. You just need page 3. You just need page 6. And I'm like, what? You know, it was his language. So because I was able to, he was able to help me get through that and to learn everything that was current for my mom and to realize that she was totally covered and realize that I had a generational blessing thrown on me. And it just took this big gray cloud off of me where I didn't have to beg, borrow, or steal or anything. And it was a blessing in the midst of, you know, the storm of my mom passing. And I felt so good about it. And God had me, you know, bless me with that I said, you know what, Lynn, if this is what you really do, if you can make people feel like this, I want to be able to do this for people, like he said, on their worst day. So that's how I got into it.
Okay. Good. And so I know I recently did something for my children. Have there been any new updates in the life insurance game or policies or anything of that matter in general here lately?
No, life insurance pretty much stays kind of static. Every now and then there are some bells and whistles. You know, insurance companies come up with ways to cover people and make the policy as affordable as possible. And so that they acquire the coverage and then they hold on to the coverage. But no real new bells and whistles. So what we do is we inform and we educate folks about life insurance, the types of life insurance. You know, there's a world of uninsurables out there, people that believe they can't get coverage. And this week last week and now this week, we've had the opportunity to cover people with cancer. You know, but we've covered people with cancer, HIV, incarcerated, nursing home, hospital. Whatever your scenario is, we can get you the coverage because we work with more than 36 different life insurance companies. And while everyone thinks that life insurance companies are the same, they're not. I tell my wife all the time, some companies love diabetes. Some companies, it's an instant decline. Some companies decline you for cancer if it's within the last 10 years. Some companies, like we did for these 2 living people with cancer, we can get them covered stage 4. So there's nothing that we can't get done for our clients. And the ones that are the most gracious and grateful for the coverage are those people that previously believed that they were uninsurable.
Right, because they made several attempts, you know, to find out. So we take pride in that. This is our passion and our what we believe in, and what we always say is that the Mederis Group is here to help. We literally mean that. And like Lynn was saying, there's not anything necessarily new coming up, but some of the things that we talk about, they are new to people that aren't privy to it. So, you know, like for instance, juvenile life insurance, you know, and some of the things that he had mentioned before about having insurance and being incarcerated, cancer, HIV. So to some people that's new, but it's not new to us.
Okay. And so you sent me a message and I could only kind of guess at it was like a 4-pillar type of deal.
Right.
When it came to financial literacy. Before I go there, Rich, Deuce, did y'all have anything real quick? Not real quick, but did y'all have anything? I don't want to take your time up or cut y'all short.
No, I guess I'll wait.
Okay. All right. Got you. Rich, you sure you ain't got nothing? Not yet? Okay. Got it. So let's get into those 4 pillars. I want to pull them up, but I'm on my phone, I'm on my tablet, I'm on
We
2
got them.
computer
We
screens.
got them for
Okay.
Yeah,
you.
we
We
got
got
them.
you.
Hey,
We got
that's
you.
what I'm talking about. Let's get into them. Let's hit us
So
with
it's
them.
the 4 pillars of financial literacy. To break it down to help people remember them, I made an acronym. It's BIDS. B for budgeting, I for investing, D for debt, and S for savings. So you got budgeting, investing, debt, and savings. So those are the 4 pillars of financial literacy.
And
Give me
so
one
what?
second. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
what I want to do, we can alternate, but I want to start off with budgeting, because budgeting is one of those things that we hear a lot in January. It's one of those New Year's resolutions, and we just want to touch on the number one reason that budgets fail, and
Okay.
it's a 2-word reason. Sometimes some people it's 1 word,
Before
but
you
it's
get
simply.
into it,
Go ahead.
before you get into
Uh-huh.
it, give me those 4 pillars one more time. You said
Yes, sir.
budgeting.
Budgeting, investing, debt, and savings.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And the acronym is BIDS.
BIDS.
BIDS. Think of the Price is Right. You know, showcase, showdown. Everybody got their bids going.
Okay. All right. I got it. Perfect. Okay. All right. Back to where we were. I apologize.
Okay. So
No
everybody's had a chance to think what that 2-word reason for failure could be, but it's simply cash flow.
Cash flow.
Cash flow.
Okay.
Cash flow. Because when you're designing a budget and you don't incorporate cash flow, you can't organize when you're going to pay what. Because everybody gets paid. We deal with all sorts of inflows and incomes from an employment standpoint. We have clients that get paid weekly. We have clients that get paid bi-weekly. We have clients that get paid first and the 15th. That sound familiar? And we have clients that get paid once a month.
Yep. I've been on all those cycles.
Yeah, I've never been on the once a month. Well, I've been eating what I killed since I got out of college. I'm a commission guy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
for the most part, I don't have a first and 15th type scenario.
It's interesting. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
You get real creative, but you get it.
Yeah. So that's the number one reason why budgets fail, because when the money doesn't flow in to cover something, you've got to take it from someplace else, or you've got to pay it late. And that's how you fall behind. And once you fall behind in the budget, it's real easy to say, you know what? Forget about it. I've been making it all this time, paycheck to paycheck, without the structure, but that's it. So it's the discipline of creating the budget, sticking to the budget. There are lots of creative tricks. Sometimes people don't even know what they're spending. So we'll tell you, get one of those little tiny notebooks, and everything you buy, a pack of gum, every time you visit the ATM, you flip open that little notebook and you write what you just did.
That takes discipline.
It does. It does.
And what I like to do is you make a list of what you need before, like when you go to the grocery store, you know what you need. Make that list, and then you'll see everything that you need. Then you'll be in front of it. So if you veer off to some Cheetos, if that's not on your list, you probably have some chips on there already. Either switch them out, or look, don't get both. Stay on your budget. You understand what I mean? If you get in front of it, then you're prepared. You're not in the grocery store hungry and buying up everything and end up with Jell-O crackers. And you're like, what is all of this stuff?
Yeah.
I got a question about budgeting.
Yes.
Now I talked to like some of my, I don't want to say young, but I talk to people about budgeting.
You still young, dude. You young.
Listen,
yeah, he's 50. Dude's 50.
Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. Both of y'all older than me. Don't do me like that. Anyways, budgeting, right? I think some things I hear about it is that it's not sexy, right? Budgeting ain't sexy. We rap about, when I say we, our culture raps about going to the store, buying whatever, don't worry about the price tag, right? Then for men, right, budgeting is not sexy because culture, society says a woman doesn't want to hear that, right? So have you guys had to encounter,
Oh,
how do you guys counter the lack of sex appeal with
I
budgeting?
would love to. I would love to give my
Well, give.
give my female
You want
opinion.
look.
Since
You
I'm
wanted. You
since
wanted
I'm
a
a
guy.
woman, I'll just tell you that it depends on the type of woman that you have or that's in front of you. There's a wise woman and there's an unwise woman. So you want one that builds and sustains the house, and then the blessings will come. You don't want somebody that's frivolous and throwing it everywhere for who, for show, for what. You want something that's stable for yourself that you can rely on. So you guys can go home, you got a house, you can go to sleep. You don't have to worry about that. So it's priorities. And our culture, as far as rapping and stuff, that's just as creative as people making up vampires and werewolves and smurfs and stuff. It's not real. So what's real and what matters to you, what matters in your life for your lifestyle, your family, your legacy, it doesn't matter what other people think or what you think about somebody else. What's holding you down? Like, what are you doing for your life? How are you living your life? And being responsible. And what is your purpose? So you need a good anchor. You need a good anchor that'll hold you down. And you can enjoy yourself, but you can enjoy yourself to enjoy yourself, not to impress other people. It's what you like and what you want. If you like stability in certain areas, then shoot for that stability and work together and do the the other fun stuff. And there's nothing wrong with showing off a little bit, but I ain't living for nobody else right now.
Yeah. So the number one unsexy ingredient about budgeting is discipline.
yes.
And discipline is an exceptional trait. It's not normal. Most people are undisciplined, and that's how they end up in whatever bad situation they end up in. So I can see you, my man, douche you out on a date, and you get the menus, and you say, "Well, babe, I'm on a budget, so kind of, keep your selections to this side and this section of the menu." You are absolutely correct. That is not sexy. I would tell somebody if they went on a date with that mentality, they went unprepared.
Yeah.
What you should do is be prepared to save up, allocate, have a little fun money, which it takes discipline to accrue.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you go out, you can you can impress her on that first date, but I would take that time while I'm sizing up whether I'm going to have a second date to really give her my philosophy about my budgeting disciplines and so on the like. So I'm setting the expectation. Now, this is a discipline I had to devise from working with clients. And when I was in the money game and the stock market was doing crazy things like it's been doing this year. And I had clients telling me, hey, when the stock market is down, I expect you to call me on the phone and tell me what to do. And I had to reset that expectation. I said, look, first of all, the stock market is going to go up and down every single day. I don't have time to call you. This money that we put aside is for 15 years from now. So we don't need to have a conversation about today for money that's when junior's going to college. We just don't need to do it. So what I realized was I needed to set the expectation up front.
Mm-hmm.
That way, so if you're having a budgeting conversation with a woman on the first date and she's not feeling that, that's what we call a red flag.
Yeah, save your money. Don't go on the second one. No, just
that's
I
what we
would
call
say,
it.
I would say
That's
the
what we
first
call a
date's
red
too
flag.
late. That's why you got the phone calls before then. But nah, I'm feeling what y'all
Right.
saying.
Right. So, I mean, all this stuff is real talk. That's why we enjoy having it, because these are not some crazy fabricated Hollywood script kind of conversations. This is real stuff. And when you, the same thing about losing weight. The formula is simple. Eat less, work out more. Now, you could get more fancy and sexy and more complicated, but it's that simple. If you eat less and you exercise more, 30 days from now, 90 days from now, you're going to weigh less. That's simple.
Okay.
Now you can change what you eat. You can, go experiment with different diets, but the formula, the basic formula, 2 + 2 is eat less, exercise more. And exercising is as simple as walking.
Yeah.
Walk a mile, walk 2 miles.
Not wrestle with alligator or nothing like that.
And then, discipline yourself to not eat after 10 o'clock at night. And then when you have that kind of discipline, guess what you can build in? Cheat days.
Oh,
you can build in
whatever
you can build in a
yeah.
cheat meal, or and with budgeting and finances, you can build in a splurge kind of situation.
Is what I said? Did any of what I said resonate with you guys? Did it make sense to you? Because y'all got quiet, and I want to know.
Like,
I
feel like what you said is reiterating the points that people know,
but they don't do them.
Well, no, I don't.
That's where the discipline comes in.
They don't do it because America. You can look at our credit card default rate; it's high, right?
yeah.
So Americans in general are terrible with budgeting. That's why this conversation is so important. But I think what you said is what people should know.
Yeah.
I don't know if
but they don't do it.
Counteracts the perception that budgeting is not cool or not sexy, or really I think it comes down to not greed, but instant gratification.
Yep.
That's what
Right.
it is.
And that's where the
people
discipline comes in, because to me as a woman, budgeting, not being broke, but budgeting and being broke are two separate things. Real talk. Budgeting is sexy to me because I'll be able to afford the things that I like and I want because I have them allocated for. There's nothing out there that's going to come in and take that away from me from what makes me comfortable. That's budgeting. That is hella sexy. If I know you are disciplined in that area, and then, the things that I want, again, are on our priority list, and, we're married, but even before we're married, you're showing that that's sexy because that's stability. And that's what women like. Security.
That's sexy. That's sexy. But that all spills from discipline. So the way a man can differentiate himself from the crowd is discipline. Because you compete with a whole bunch of undisciplined dudes.
And one more thing, Juice, is America, respectfully, what does that have to do with you? You are not America. You are Deuce, and this is your budget. That's talking about the majority. They say the majority of America is fat. Are you fat? No. Who are you?
I'm fat.
They don't counter the percentage of the people that do have, some type of stability in life. You understand what I'm saying? So you'll be like the 1 percentile.
No, well, I guess my question initially was more, the way I was thinking about it is pushing that message and that narrative out further, right? I know a lot of people have been talking about financial literacy, but for whatever reason, it doesn't permeate our culture as well as other cultures. I guess I was looking at the reason as why not, right? Because there's a lot more of us that don't budget, that are not financially literate. So my question is, like, why? When I talk to some folks I know and they talk about the financial situation, I'm like, well, how did you even get yourself into that?
Right.
And I find myself, I ask that question more than I should. So I don't understand why people don't budget more. It all makes sense. I've heard it is not sexy. I've heard it's not cool. I heard it's complicated. I know some people say, I don't want to write everything else down. Don't you get tired of asking people to borrow money though? Like,
yeah. And again, it's lack of discipline and instant gratification and lack of maturity. Because it's whatever you want your reality to be. You can pretend that you're not broke, have a big chain and a nice car and all this kind of stuff, but you either don't have a place to stay or you don't have furniture. Even if you don't have furniture in your house, it's still your house. I wouldn't even care. But it's what matters to you. We're not children. Maybe they'll find a girl or a guy that doesn't mind sleeping on the mattress, without a box spring. That's on them. no judgment. If it's theirs, it's theirs. But like you said, don't you get tired of borrowing money? Because certainly you get tired of loaning it.
Yeah.
So it's like, when will you take care of yourself?
So like Maya said, there is a scarcity mindset. Scarcity mindset about it also. I know generally speaking, I've done well with budgeting, but for the last year, I have not been as disciplined as what I've usually been. And I think a lot of my issues for spending the way that I have been, it's not directly connected to spending. There are so many external factors
Fatigue.
where I am in life right now, the things that are happening, trying to find comfort and solace in something, getting a project done and saying, well, let me go ahead and buy this real fast so that I'll have it and I can knock this project out when I got lumber that's still sitting in my shed for the last 5-6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or just having and I think this goes across the culture also. There's a void, there's emptiness that we try to fill for whatever reason it is. And so one of the things that helps us feel that is by adding. It's not even so much splurging, although it can be correlated to splurging. Splurging is something done in a frivolous manner. But the reason why I say adding, or what could actually be considered a more of a manic state, as it were, is because of everything that's been going on. And so we're trying to, it's a bit of a distractor, and we're trying to figure out other areas to fill in the gaps. And so we become manic, and it breaks a normal behavior or discipline that we've had in the past, and getting back on that cycle becomes tough, especially when it comes to money.
Yeah, it's real.
So that's just my opinion on it.
And it's not that you have to be perfect or anything like that, but are we talking about status quo, Deuce?
What status quo for?
Yeah, as far as money and stuff, because instant,
I can keep it up with the Joneses. I can see that as being an issue.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Because you were talking about rap culture and things like that, and that whole thing that everybody know that ain't real. You can go.
No, they don't.
Well, I'm talking people our age. People our age should know by now. Just like WrestleMania is not real, even though they're athletes.
Whoa, calm down over there. What do you mean it ain't real?
I grew up. Look.
John Cena just won the other night.
I know. Watching that, my feelings were hurt, and I tried to get mad about it until I realized, he just got smacked and just did 3 flips and got hit with a chair. They are athletes. You could call them stuntmen. So it's like, it's choreographed, because I wouldn't fight them or get in the ring with them. They got something going for themselves.
Yeah.
That's not what I thought it was. Not what I thought it was when I was 8.
Steroids, cocaine, and money is a hell of a combination.
Woo! Yeah, and so are those licks.
Yeah, that part. But yeah, I think also a scarcity mindset, thinking that you've got to hurry up and get it and have it and hoard it. For instance, this whole thing. Let's pull in the current economy, right? And we see how tariffs are going up, and then the media has us thinking that there's never going to be anything for sale, and if there is something for sale, it's going to be through the roof, which there is some truth in it. But the propaganda that's filling that or feeding that narrative has us grabbing and buying stuff at a ridiculous pace. There have been on TikTok a bunch of different things coming across my For You page showing the factories that Nike's made at, that Louis Vuitton's made at, all these other designer product places, and you can get 5 pair of Jordans for $10 right now. And so people are feeding that fear by saying, I can take this $20 and buy these Jordans right now, and they don't even need it, but it's a scarcity.
Yeah, I think that speaks deeper to who you are, I guess, in your mind and at your core. The spiritual part of you and what you believe, and how you believe. Because when we reference some things in the media, but especially TikTok. It's just like I don't know. You just have to balance, and not, you know what I mean, James. I mean,
Yeah.
Jay Glass. You have to just balance everything, and you have to, pick and choose what you believe in, what you know. Because Lord knows we are. Thank God we are the age that we are. Where we be like, okay, I'm gonna wait a little bit longer for the other. Okay, wait for this, because, like, for instance, eggs. No doubt, a lot of people are paying out the wazoo for eggs. But don't forget, there's always not necessarily a hookup, but somebody trying to get rid of them because they expire. So you will find sales. But to me, that's just common sense. Like when a storm is coming, you already have some stuff that you have stocked up versus running to the store and buying up all the toilet paper and water.
Oh yeah.
And bread.
So, if you need it, you go get it. But it doesn't make sense to just go crazy because you think that, I guess, the world is ending again. But I guess it depends on what you are. It's based on how we and what we believe and where our security is. I was even say mentally or spiritually. So,
okay.
And like Deuce was saying about instant gratification, that's like a baby that's screaming, the boob is right there for them to drink, but they acting a fool. And all they got to do is turn around and latch on and everything's good. We still do that today. And that's the way I think we're a lot of us are acting out. Not saying that I have everything together or that, I got the world in a jug and a stop in my hand. But yeah, when you see the masses reacting, then it's like, what's actually going on in my house right now? Am I to that level, or is it something that somebody else is showing us, from their vantage point?
Yeah, and
I
the
do
approach.
have I'm sorry, go ahead.
The approach to all these things should be that it's simple. Budgeting is simple. You just put down your fixed. That's where you start first, with your fixed expenses, things that don't change on a monthly basis, right?
House,
your
car,
mortgage,
yeah.
your car payment, pretty much your utilities are in a little bit of a range each month.
Usually round them.
And you start with your fixed, and then you start with your variable stuff. How often do you go get your hair done, get your nails done, stuff like that, variable costs. And just list everything down. Once you write everything down, and they have templates, they have Excel spreadsheets that you can just plug everything in and it does all the math for you. But when you look at budgeting and say, oh my God, I'm not good at math. It's a whole bunch of numbers. I got to carry the two. I got to do this. I got to do that. Never mind, forget about it. Mm-hmm. So then you end up not doing it at all. Because we run into the same thing sometimes when we have conversations about life insurance with people, when they go, I can't afford the $50,000 policy that I want, so I'm not getting anything.
Yeah, it's another bill.
When you could get that $10,000 policy and take that funeral burden off your family. Mm-hmm. Right. So they don't have to fry no fish or fry no chicken.
And GoFundMe.
Or
nothing
get a GoFundMe
wrong with that.
or
Nothing wrong with it. Do
anything
what you gotta
like
do. Go get a plate.
But that's what happens when we make things complicated. Right. Budgets give people a peace of mind. Maya. Mm-hmm. Another thing that gives people a peace of mind is a will. People complicate. Oh, it's complicated. I got to get a lawyer. It's going to be expensive. No. But if you go into these things saying, you know what? It's simple. All I have to do is A, B, and C, and I've got my budget done. And now it's time for me to be disciplined. So getting back to Deuce and credit cards. One discipline is, and this is a tough one, is paying the whole thing off at the end of the month. Right? But at the very least,
man, that's why have minimum payments.
Right. Well, that's where I was going. But at least
that minimum payment is a long-term relationship.
At least build into your discipline. If I can't pay the whole thing off, I'm going to at least pay the minimum.
Put 5 on it.
By the time it's due. But what you want to grow towards is being in a position to pay the whole thing off.
It off of you.
That's where you want to be. Yeah. But at the very least, be disciplined enough. So plug that minimum payment into the spreadsheet. And if you got, more, put a little more on it, but it had that minimum payment in the spreadsheet. So that way you don't fall behind. Because once you fall behind, it snowballs. Everything snowballs. And then Deuce, you're like, man, how'd you get there? It wasn't as complicated as it is in your head. To them, it was simple. I missed this, I did that, and next thing you know, boom.
But what do you say? How'd you get there again?
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
it's not
It's
that
a cycle.
right. And that's but you know what that is? That's life.
Yeah.
That's life.
I think
That is
sometimes in
life.
life, sometimes it's lack of discipline. Sometimes
Yeah,
stuff
that's
happens
life.
to us, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's stuff that happens because of us.
Yeah.
I do have a two-part question for you guys in finance. One, this is dear to my heart. This is gonna be a quick answer. What are your thoughts on economics and economists?
Oh,
economists?
God.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you, economists, like most professionals, are out there with an agenda. So whenever I'm reading from a journalist or a politician or an economist, I got to dig a little deeper behind them and find out what's their thing, what's their agenda. Because once you know what their agenda is, then you start listening to what they're saying. You see that, okay, what they're saying feeds into, this agenda, and I don't subscribe to that agenda. So I'm not going to flow with what this economist is saying, because if you call 5 economists tomorrow morning, you're gonna get 5 outlooks, maybe 6. One of them may double dip.
Wow.
Dude, you're not an economist, are you?
Well,
No. Hey, Lynn,
No,
Lynn.
me and Rich have this debate on the study of economics
listen,
and economists.
the
listen.
value of fiat currency or not.
Hold on. Listen to this. I've been quiet for almost 37 minutes,
Yes, you have.
and I'm laughing because everything you said is accurate. Now, I tried to educate these 2 other gentlemen. I graduated from college too, but I don't. Say,
I haven't.
I let
I'm
somebody
not
else
finished college.
outside come through and drill down on them, because I can say it a little differently, but you and I will be saying the exact same words.
Cool.
Yeah. So I graduated with a degree in finance. That's why I'm laughing,
Mm-hmm.
because you said risk.
I graduated with a degree in finance.
I told you that a long time ago, dude. You blew me
I
off.
told you. I don't know if I told you that. Okay. All right.
You didn't.
I
I knew that.
well, Fat knew, but I told
Yeah.
you a long time ago. But I told you, I said economics is taught. They teach those classes in the business school if they choose to, but it's a liberal arts degree because it's someone's professional opinion backed by numbers. But I tried to explain that. But I want to go back to what you said, because Deuce hit it, and then you came behind it, Stephanie and Lynn. First of all, let me say this to Stephanie. Finding a high-quality Black woman that understands money, that's like finding mama. That's not going to be easy to do. Second thing, Lynn, you said on the first day, you kind of talk about, hey, have some money saved for the first date, and then you kind of touch about budgeting in the first date to see where her mind's at about money. They tell you on every dating site, never talk about politics or money on the first date. That's the second thing. Third thing,
Who was they?
America.
popular opinion
I'm
says you
just
never talk
talking.
about.
It was rhetorical. It was
I have
rhetorical.
failed enough first dates to know this. Deuce.
Oh,
Let's move on.
yeah.
That's why. Now,
Agreed.
let's move on. And Maya, when I met Maya, I said, oh, Maya's not trying to take Mr. Glass's money. She's trying to help him build. I'm on Maya's side. Next thing, rap music. Rap music is great. Those guys are writing experts, but they're promoting a short-term mindset. Get mine any which way but loose, legal or illegal, instant gratification, and I will demonize any other Black person and say the N-word for those outside of our culture to enjoy. That's not long-term success.
And women. Yeah.
2 or 3 people make it out of the rap industry in the 80s, whether it's Jay-Z, came in the early 90s, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, well, God bless them, LL Cool J, but the rest will never make it because you're selling an instant short-term gratification based on I got to get mine because your environment is suffering from racial institutional racism because you have a lack of jobs, but full of crime, starting with drugs, the purchase of illegal firearms, and the idea that violence is what I need to do to make it in this great country.
Don't forget sex and exploitation of females.
Thank you. I'm trying to get there as fast as I could. So with that being said, and she's absolutely right. And remember, I said that these black men who are rappers are excellent writers, but they're demonizing our entire community for the benefit of someone else so they can get paid. That's not a long-term mindset. You can't win like that. And that's why the sound from Motown and the blues and other black genres, they have lasted and lasted and lasted and been embraced by, quote, white America. I'll stop there.
Okay. Well, that was heavy. So pushing the conversation forward just a little further, unless we have anything left on budgeting and cash budgeting. Or
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, you got it.
I got one thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Lynn, you kind of touched on it a little bit with budgeting. Because I follow.
Don't say Dave Ramsey.
No,
I'm joking. I
Elizabeth,
like that. He's all right.
Elizabeth Warren. I was hesitating because Elizabeth Warren, she didn't say that she created it. She just kind of popularized it. The 50, 30, 20, a percentage base a budget, right?
Right.
But one of the difficult conversations that she mentioned, and I think Susie Orman talked about it when she was hot back in the day, is differentiating between necessities and discretionary, right? You know, you kind of talked about it. Things
Wants
I
and
think most
needs.
of us would agree.
Yeah, wants and
Right.
needs.
But sometimes it gets a little difficult for some people because of the love of something to say that that's a discretionary instead of a need. So how would you handle those conversations to help people see clearly?
And
Yeah.
that's individually based, though.
Yeah.
Your want and need is different from mine.
Yeah.
I may have to have Jay's.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm thinking of a situation years ago. I had a salon owner, and he really wanted to get this life insurance policy, but he would not stop smoking marijuana. And I told him he just needed to stop for 2 weeks while they did the blood and urine test.
I know.
And he said, I can't do it. I can't do it for a day. So I didn't fight with him over it. I said, well, look, worst case scenario, if it comes up in your screening, they'll just treat you like a smoker, like a tobacco smoker. So you can still get this policy. And then he lost it. I don't smoke cigarettes. It was a whole thing. So some people, what we do now, and I'll ask this question because Steph knows me. I'll ask people, can you be moved off of this? And if the answer is no, then we're just going to move on.
Yeah.
Because I tell people all the time, we are not in the convincing business.
We cannot tell you what's important to you.
Now I can convince you to do anything that I want, but it don't stick. So I can convince you to get whatever I want you to buy from me today, but tomorrow after a good night's sleep, you're going to call me, you're going to text me, you're going to do this and say, hey, can we put a pause on this? Can we, so I learned all those lessons when I was young in the business. So we work with people. We get some things set up front. We ask them, are you serious about this situation?
Right.
Are you serious about retiring at 55? Because if you want to retire at 55, we can show you exactly what you need to do to make that happen. But what you're going to need is the money and the discipline. So we take what we always strive to do is make things that sound and feel complicated to our clients as simple as possible. And we also have to, I love to do it because it's necessary. We have to check them when they're not being authentic. Like people tell us all the time, I'm not going to get that life insurance because I can just save that money every month. No, you can't. Because if you could save it every month, when I asked you how much you had in savings, you wouldn't have said $205.
Just like I can lose weight on my own.
Right. I don't need a trainer. I can lose 20 pounds anytime I feel like it.
I don't need to take that metformin. I'll just stop eating.
I don't need to go to AA. I can stop drinking whenever I want to.
Yeah.
All those things.
I don't need counseling.
Right. All those things are, you know, are the same. So what I'm always inclined to do and is just try to make things as simple as possible. Like when Stephanie and I are talking to people about joining our organization, you know, the pushback sometimes, well, I'm not good at selling. So we don't sell.
I'm harder than he is.
What we do is we sort. You know, yes, not now, never. You know, when I meet somebody, if I'm trying to evaluate their intelligence, smart, not sure. And I'm going to leave you in not sure until I know which one you are. Mm-hmm. Like I joke all the time, Jay Glass, as soon as I hear somebody say NFL rigged or NFL scripted, not smart. I'll put them in the not smart.
Just that not fast. Smart. Just that
what
fast.
About boxing? What you say about that? No.
What you say? Just that fast, just like that.
Yeah, that's it. Not smart.
Or you know, like okay, we're not going to talk about that. Okay.
Not smart. That's what I do.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion. You know,
that's what I do. I sort people. I sort scenarios. I sort. You know, we're talking about people's money: short-term money, mid-term money, long-term money. How much we putting in this bucket? How much we putting in that bucket? How much we putting in this bucket?
I want to say something to Richard. It just keeps coming back to my head where you were saying, are you married?
No, divorced.
Okay, divorced. Finding a
black
woman who is educated on finances is, I don't know if you use the word impossible or hard. What did you say?
No, I said finding a quality black woman or a quality woman, regardless of race.
Right.
That understands money. And the key word, and I think both of you have said this, and so did Deuce, you can be smart when it comes to money, but if you're not disciplined, you don't have anything.
Right. So no, did you say she was hard to find?
She is hard to find. Because
a lot of women would say that about men too. I don't think that they're hard to find. I think that
they're hard to find because when you look at the popularity of rap music that went past pop music, went past rock and roll in the 80s, in the late 80s into the early 90s. So all the young people growing up, rap has influenced them. And so the idea of instant gratification, and you go to social media on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, quick, fast, picture. Everybody's living their best life. But you know, as Deuce had stated, how many people have credit card debt that's out of control? In fact, you can take it one step further and go to the United States federal government. Even the Republican Party says we preach financial discipline. We preach financial responsibility. But yet you pass the federal budget that keeps jacking up the debt.
Yeah.
So
and keep giving them breaks. Okay. So this is what I wanted to say. I don't think that is. Well, I mean, I'll just say it like this, based on what you said, and it's not to argue with you or anything.
No.
Look, true love is hard to find for people, whether they like money or not. And with, like you said, mama, everybody's it's a no disrespect to the guys that aren't helping out with their kids or being great fathers, and kudos to those that are. Right. But it's a lot of women out here budgeting, taking care of kids on their own. They out here. I don't know what you're looking for, but I don't know if you want a woman with kids or not. I'm not just saying they're the only ones that's budgeting, but you get what I'm saying. Just kind of open your mind to it, because we'll always say, I'm glad that you opened it up to other women too of different races, because I think it doesn't matter. It depends on your preference, but they're out there. I think you just gotta I think you have to ask God to show her to you.
If you look, let's just look to the black woman, for example, because black women and black men, they both come normally from the same source, a black woman. Mm-hmm. So go into any African American community all across America, you're going into a war zone. And a war zone produces a day-to-day, this is how I say this, Deuce and Fat, tactical. A war zone, you're on a tactical basis. And if you're really good when you're in the war zone, you can develop a strategic plan for a long-term success. But normally it's just living day to day. I'm just trying to make it day to day to get out of this situation that I'm in. That's what rap music promotes. And then when the rappers get out of that day to day, whether they're a female rapper or male rapper, do they try to go back to that war zone? Excluding Killer Mike and T.I., excluding those two, do they really try to go back to that war zone? No, because that war zone has had such an effect on their mind that they don't ever want to be reminded of where they came from. Jay-Z is probably one of the most important ones, coming from the Marcy Projects in New York. Did you ever try to go back to the Marcy Projects and say, hey, you know what? What I went through, I don't want other younger African-American kids to ever go through that. Now, he has financial discipline, and so does LeBron James. But these are rarities.
Yeah.
Rare. So if you go and look in our community and say, hey, I'm trying to match up with somebody who has a long-term mindset, you'll find a lot of African-American women are saying, you know what? I've been trying for years with these black men, and now I'm gonna have to go outside my community and possibly marry outside the community, because what I'm finding outside the community is more of a long-term mindset. So it's both ways.
I understand. I hear you.
I think what both of you are saying simplistically is it's hard. It's hard work. That's all.
Whichever side of the coin, really.
But
yeah.
Is your mindset set up where it's hard, but I'm gonna get it done?
That's really
It's hard, but I'm going to find her. Because too many people say it's hard, so I'm not even going to try.
They ain't even out. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because that's, you guys with the finance, I'm sure you dipped your toe in the water with marketing. And I always, because I've had clients ask me all the time, where can I find a good man? And there's lots of places, church, conventions,
the grocery store with a grocery list. No, I'm just
kidding. But you're where you work,
Home Depot,
where you work, where you recreate, what are your hobbies? Take up tennis. You can meet a good man on a tennis court. But if your mindset is I can't find one, you're not going to be able to find one. But if your mindset does this and says, I'm going to find one.
Well, listen, if you ask,
and then she's going to slap you across the face.
Hold on. If you ask me, you said, well, hey, Richard, you said you were once married. What happened? It was about money. That was the key driving force.
I think that's still the number one reason for divorce. So it wasn't just you.
No. Right. But I didn't rush right back out to remarry 2 or 3 more times. No. I learned my lesson well enough the first time. Because once a person shows you that they don't have a long-term mindset, and I'm not saying people who don't have long-term mindsets are not quality people. I'm not going to say that. But when it comes to long-term success with money, I'm glad that you started with the word budget for B. Because with your budget, now you figure out how much debt you're going to have. Now you figure out how much you're going to save. And now you're going to figure out how much you're going to invest. So you are correct by starting with the B word, the budget. Fair enough.
And you find out how many pennies you got left over.
Well, as Deuce was saying, and y'all were both saying this too about the fixed costs versus the variable costs. Here's one thing I will say. Any man who wants to marry an American woman, when you do your fixed costs, then it goes to the variable, a woman's nails, her hair, her toenails, those are not variable costs. Those are fixed costs.
Yeah, but here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
All women aren't built that way.
Yeah, they're not.
All women don't get their hair and nails done every week.
He's talking about his standard though.
That's what I was saying.
No, I'm off. Okay, I didn't know if I was off.
No, that's why I asked. That's why I asked what that is. Like what your standards are. You know what they are in your head. And that's why I was saying I was glad that you were open with it, because it just, I can't tell you don't get her nails done if that's what she wants to do, and you're doing that goes in your budget. That's your budget. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So
well, hold on. While you're dating, guess what? Guess what? While you're dating, guess what?
Real conversation.
That's her budget.
Yeah, that'll be.
That's her budget.
Yeah, and Deuce was over there shaking his head. No,
that's
like
budget.
I ain't putting that in my budget. Nobody.
And the other thing I wanted to say is that I hear a lot about the rap and everything. I grew up listening to some rap music. I know who, the big, well, the most popular ones they were for me, but I ain't that deep into all of that. I'm like, them people don't tell me. My mother created me to focus on what's important in my life to help me to be able to not just survive, but to live my life in a way where whether I'm by myself or with someone. That's the way I was raised. I'm not waiting on someone to do something for me.
Well, if you listen to rap music in the last 25 years, I don't know how much emphasis it is on a woman saying, I'm looking for a man to take care of my nails, my hair, my woo, woo, woo. And then you go to the reality TV shows.
Right.
I don't watch that mess either. Right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
You go
but they do. Some people do.
Right.
And you will find people. I mean, that's another thing with dating. And we know this isn't an advice show about dating, but yeah, when you're on that first date and you're a gentleman enough to pay for that date because you asked her out, that's like the rule. Listen to what she's saying. I used to tell my cousins all the time. Well, first, on the first date, we're on our best behavior, but watch her, listen to her. Stop just focusing on the double D's and all of this. Listen to her. Listen to her and believe her.
Listen,
the L words. Listen, those L words come later.
Just listen to what she. Watch how she orders her food and how she eats her food. That'll tell you a lot too.
And if she want to buy something for the kids afterwards,
Y'all talking about food.
Coffee. Look, Jay, we need to move on.
I like he said coffee. Just take her.
We need
take her to the park.
Yeah,
don't go to the movie. Take her to the park. Go get some ice cream. Do that a couple of times. Take her to the arch.
I was waiting for a quick second. Deuce, I don't know that you had something else that you needed to get to today. So I don't know if you staying with us or if you've got to drop, because it looks like we're going to go a little while over.
I got a few more. Right now, my challenge is battery, but I got a few more minutes.
All right, perfect. All right. So since we were talking about this, were you about to say something, Lynn?
I just was going to go to the next.
Debt and savings.
Well, investing. Yeah, I was about to say, since we were talking about dating and time and money and budgeting for nails and hair and swimsuits and trips and flying people out, getting flued out and all that.
Hey, flued out.
That pushes us to the next letter in the acronym of BIDS, which is investing. So talk to us about investing.
Okay, so investing is, once again, not as complicated as most people make it out to be. And, people think, investing, I got to get a stock portfolio, I got to get a broker, you don't need to get any of that stuff. Once again, you just need to get a discipline on how much money you're going to set aside. So if you are the average American working at a job that has a 401k, there you go. There's your investing. Oh,
well, hold on. I got to say this.
Yeah.
Because the vast majority of Americans got hoodwinked here recently by the rise. You still look fine. You good, Rich. You good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're still good. You good. And folks, people's 401ks have gotten sucked up because of the play on tariffs and the economy and everything else that's happened here recently, and even to the point to where, and we know it can't happen. People have been trying to threaten the CEO or the chair, as you were. Sorry about that. As the chair of the Federal Reserve with firing him, right? And the pressures. Right. So when you talk about 401ks right now, I think, as it stands, until we can see something a bit more solid, Americans are a little shifty even on their 401ks, because I was hearing horror stories where people are losing 15, 20 grand almost overnight from their 401ks.
All right, so let me help you with that. First of all, if the money is in your 401k and the balance drops, you didn't lose anything. You never lose when you're in the market until you sell. Like your house. You could be in a $500,000 house and then Zillow drops you down to $450,000. Did you lose $50,000?
No.
It's just, that's just on paper. Now you realize your loss when you sell. That's what the uneducated investor does. As soon as it drops down, oh my God, I lost money. Let me compound it by putting that loss in ink. So no, here's the thing about the education about using a 401k. If you have access to one, first of all, it's a tax deduction every time you get paid. You get to invest $100 and it costs you $72. Now, if I was standing outside your job every day or every week and I had $100 bill and I was like, Jay, give me $72 for this 100, what would you say?
Give me 1 second. Say that one more time.
Give me $72 and I'm gonna give you this Ben Franklin. What you gonna do?
Let me go ahead and make that $28 come up.
There you go. You're making $28 every time you get paid because I'm keeping it simple at 100. I'm keeping it at $100. Hold on.
You're talking about traditional as opposed to Roth, right? Traditional IRAs.
Yeah, I'm keeping it simple. I'm keeping it simple. Just a traditional 401k plan with a match.
Yeah.
So now you done made right, Jay. You done made $28, and now I'm going to match that $100 with 5%. So now your account is at 105, and it costs you $72. And this is occurring every week before anything is invested. People think the Dow Jones is this almighty, huge, monolithic thing. Do you know how many companies are in the Dow Jones?
Oh, a ton.
30.
I thought it was more than 30.
No, 30 companies are in the Dow Jones Industrial Average.
The big boys.
That's it. Okay. It's 30 big companies like Amazon, McDonald's, American Express. 30 large companies got people losing their mind every day. That's why some people they're looking at the Dow. But if you all tech, small tech, mid tech, whatever, you still getting it in.
Got it.
This comes down to information and education. But before that, and I hate to give the media so much power because for me, the media doesn't manipulate me any way, shape, or form. When I hear something from the media, I got to get 2 or 3 more sources.
Yeah.
Like when the Pope died, I needed to read it from because I happened to be up. I was up at 4. He died at 3:45.
Yeah.
I was up when he died.
You're supposed to do that anyway, though. I'm a former reporter. We get that from the Associated Press. Everything comes down from what we call the wire. And by the time it gets to TV, we only have 10 to 20 seconds. And most stories are maybe a minute and a half. It is your responsibility to go get the newspaper and to dig.
Absolutely.
You want extra that, and so a lot of people say, "Oh, the media." But did you really go check that out? So what he does is what you're supposed to do. Because I don't even have a half hour. I really only have 20 minutes because all the commercials I got to pay for to tell you what's going on with sports and weather.
Yeah. So what we'll tell you about investing is, if you're going to do your 401k at work, they have people at work that you can talk to about the plan at work. If you don't have someone to talk to, get your plan details and you can talk to us and we'll tell you exactly what you have, what it does. All 401k plans don't have the Roth component. That's fairly new. So that's why I like to keep it simple until we have the details. But for the most part, it comes down to information and education. If you don't understand something, then get the professional advice. Meet with someone like us, and we'll tell you exactly what's what. And we don't charge you for the advice. We make our money when we place you into a vehicle. That's how we get paid. We could charge for advice. I mean, we do have a consulting arm that we charge $500 an hour.
Well, yeah.
We do have that.
Do you take payment plans?
Huh?
We're trying to put you on credit.
Klarna, yeah. But yeah, we do have that because some people, like for instance, in financial planning, some people, a financial planner doesn't want to sell you anything.
Mm-mm.
The financial planner wants to do the plan like an architect, give you blueprints and charge you for those blueprints. The architect is not going to build your house.
Sure.
The architect is going to draw your house, charge you for the drawing. Now you take those drawings to a builder.
Mm-hmm.
But people try to conflate and merge all those things together. That's complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it simple. Unbundle that. You know, so when I ask people about, because that's how basic I get with the $72 for $100. Oh, they're in the 401k plan after I say that. They're in. And I haven't even talked about the match yet. They're in after I do the trade, $72 for $100. They're in because they don't even understand that basic math, because it's a pre-tax investment. So before FICA and FUTA and whoever gets into your stuff, that money goes over to that company. That's why it goes in without being fettered with any taxation at all. So if you want to do something beyond your 401k, let's say you're maxing out your 401k plan, and you want to do something in addition to that, before we talk to people about a major type of investment scenario, we explain to them, you know, when you're talking about buying a stock, one stock, pick a company, Pepsi. You want the best price for Pepsi?
Paper, no.
You got to buy 100 shares. So now let's look at the share price. Share price is $89. All right, 100 shares is going to cost you $8,900. And now you got to live and die with Pepsi. Is that really how you want to approach this?
No.
No. Wouldn't it be nice if you could have a few hundred companies like Pepsi? But that's a mutual fund. And guess what? You don't have to buy $8,900 worth of the mutual fund. You can start a mutual fund, $25 a month from your checking account. Month
Richard,
in, month out.
What's going through your mind, Richard? I'm looking at you.
No, I'm laughing at Deuce because he keeps talking about that Roth. I'm like, wow, he must be monitoring my account. Because it's not as big as I want it to be. But what he's saying, what Lynn is saying,
His name.
some people like to buy individual stocks.
No.
So for, since we're online talking about this, I would say, yeah, just index the whole stock market and then don't ever sell until you're on your way out, and then you go off to bonds.
That's it.
Stocks,
That's it. And guess what? If you do $2,000 a month for 10 years, $1 million. You're a millionaire.
Yeah.
That's it. $2,000 a month, 240 months. Millionaire.
Okay.
Now, debt and savings. Well, we all know what debt is.
Well,
I don't know if people do.
Here's the thing. All right, so that is great. So
No, they just
that is one of the fun ones because there's good debt, and there's bad debt. So an example of good debt is a house, because most people can't buy a house by paying all that it costs when it's time to acquire it. So getting a house by way of a mortgage, now you have a debt, but that's a good debt because that takes that builds your security. You got a roof over your head. Mm-hmm. You know what your fixed cost is month in and month out, all that stuff, right? Another good debt.
What is it?
Go ahead, Richard.
I'm laughing because I'm waiting for Deuce to jump in on that good debt. I'm waiting on him because I know what he's going to say.
What you got, Deuce? What you got? What you got for the good debt?
I'm listening. I want to listen to your whole thought before I say anything.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. And another example of a good debt is a vehicle that takes you to and from employment.
Yeah, point A to point B.
Okay. Right? Now, if you find, I'll give you an example of a bad debt, a Sea-Doo. Right?
Yeah, jet skis.
Jet ski. You got a jet ski sitting in your garage that you financed. That's a bad debt. As a rule. Now, exception, if you got more money than you can spend, You done put money every place needs to be put,
Or if
and you got some left over.
you live on a beach.
But you're not. But if you're financing a C-do, that's a bad debt. If you buy a C-do cash, there's no debt.
Right.
That's just a depreciating asset.
So the question that I have is,
Yes.
where would owning, man, that y'all finna fight over there? You good, bro?
No, just patience.
All right.
There you
I'm a
Hold up, the dudes pull up on Richard. Is that what I'm saying?
no.
live my best life, what I can afford, of what I budgeted. Go ahead.
All right. So
That's
the
right. Come
question,
on.
the question that I have is, where would LLCs or S corps or opening your own business fall into any of the things that we've talked about so far, or something in the future? Because that becomes a question as well.
That's business debt.
Yeah, and it depends on what you sunk into it. To get an LLC is a few $100s.
Yep.
So what are you going to what's that thing going to do? And then are you leveraging the business to get credit and debt for machinery or office space or vehicles or whatever that is? But yeah, that's I would say if you have a plan and you have a business plan and a model and you want to grow and hand that thing off to the next generation, that's a good debt. Now, if you got a Ferrari, that once again that you financed, for the weekend, so you can pull up to the restaurant and
take that girl on a date.
That's a bad debt. That's and that's not complicated. You can write good on one side, bad on the other, and draw a line and make a list of things and know where each one of them goes. Every adult can do that as a rule. There are some exceptions, but as a rule, every adult can put the debt on one side of the line versus the other. We can all do that, but it comes down to what?
With the hope that they know the difference between liabilities and assets, because not everybody knows those basic differences.
Right. Okay. So an asset is something that you own. Pretty much you own it outright. But some things, another one that always fits in there, people throw that in there, is a house. So there's an asset in the house, equity, and then there's a mortgage debt, which is a liability.
Uh-huh.
And you add those two things up, and one is sometimes you're equity positive or net worth positive, because net worth is assets minus liability. That's how you get to the net worth. So if your house is $1 million and you got $100,000 left on the mortgage, you have a net worth of $900,000. If your house is worth $1 million and you got a $900,000 mortgage, then you got a negative net worth.
Yeah.
Simple. It's simple math. And liabilities come in where are what you owe, and assets are what you own. And sometimes there's a blend, like in a house, because once you own your house outright, it's an asset with no liabilities attached to it, no liens, no anything. But people need to understand, because you keep learning and keep living. You can lose your house that you paid off to property taxes.
Homeowners Association.
But the worst one is the HOA.
Those are scams.
The HOA will take your house because you owe a few $100s.
There's a case here in Houston when I first moved here in 1999. I'll always remember this woman's name, Winona Blevins. She was an elderly woman, had a very nice house in a very affluent neighborhood. House had been paid off. They took her home because of homeowner association.
That's crazy.
They took her home. They ransacked it and everything. Anyway, it went to court. And she got her house back. But by the time she got her house back, that whole thing took a toll on her. And she was already elderly. She died like a few years later. but they, they turned it over and made it illegal for people to be able to, for them to take your home based on homeowner association fees. Look her up, Winona Blevins in Houston, HOA. It is the most bizarre. I mean, they dragged that woman, and they came in there and destroyed her house and everything, and they gave it back to her, or she wanted back, but it was just not. It was not the same because you can't pay your lawn fee. What is that? You own your house. But
so
yeah.
Tehran, buddy of mine, Tehran Kalmi says not all assets are owned outright.
That's correct.
That's correct.
That's correct.
So
that's what I said. But if you own it outright, there's no debt attached to it, but assets are, once again, you draw a line down the center of the paper, own.
She's got it. Yeah. Maya.
Go, Maya. Woo.
O versus own. So they one letter apart. What you own the house, but you owe on the mortgage.
Well, so here's what I would say. If you buy a house through a mortgage, you're paying on it as the owner, but the bank technically owns that home until you clear it, until that title in your name with no bank or nobody's other's name on that deed or whatever. So I see what Tehran. I see what he's saying, but I also see what you're saying too. So
yeah, because there's duplicity. Like when you're filling out an application and they ask you if you own or you rent, what box you check?
Own. Yeah.
Right. You checking own, even though you got a mortgage.
That's correct. Yep.
Because you're not renting the house.
Yeah.
So, and I love that simplicity because they could put a couple more options there and have people scratching their head. Like, what is it? What? If they put own with mortgage, own without mortgage, people start loot. So own.
Yeah. It's like
rent.
Black, white, other. Okay.
Yeah, what we always want to do is just keep things simple. We don't give people a lot of jargon. We don't talk over their head. I had to learn all this stuff when I was young in the business because I knew a lot. And I'd get in your living room and I'd start doing my thing and people started looking at each other.
Like he studied the D's in the dictionary. Right. What is he talking about?
Looking at each other like, wait a minute.
That's what you...
Right.
Tehran, that's because you aren't using your veteran benefits correctly,
brother. Right. So yeah, that's what we were talking about. You could lose your house to taxes and you could lose your house to the HOA.
Right.
And there are a couple other ways you could lose your house, even when you've paid it off.
Yeah.
So someone could argue you never own your house.
Sure.
Because now we're in the age of more than one thing can be true.
Yeah.
We're in that age. We're in that era. I don't know when it started. Was it a pandemic thing? But now more than one thing. All of a sudden, more than one thing can be true.
It's D, all of the above.
I would say it's like it's part of that whole subscription mindset thing that we got into now. It's like home ownership is now a subscription. You're right. There's so many things that can get your house, taxes, HOA, etc. You got to be aware of. It's like ownership. The definition of ownership has definitely changed.
Oh yeah, you could lose your house in a car accident and somebody sues you.
Yeah, but like Lynn said, like whatever you do, whatever you choose, like you said, as far as looking for finding a special woman or any of these things, it just comes up to what are you willing to fight for? What's important to you? What are your priorities? What is it that you want or you desire in your life? Nothing comes easy. Nothing comes easy. And so now we'll get to savings, which is, another thing that's not always easy, but is it doable?
Well, savings comes down to that D word again.
I know if I don't cut my grass soon, these jokers going. I don't even have a homeowners association, but my grass and got so tall, it's like my little kids. Golly.
But like with the savings, it feels like it's impossible. Because I remember growing up, it's like, okay, we used to have a little bank, we put our change in, and then it's like, oh, something comes up, I want an ice cream. It's like, no, that's your savings. That's not for ice cream, but because it's there, I got a little extra money, something that I want is my money, but then when Easter or something comes around for something that I really want, what I was trying to save for, if I wasn't disciplined enough, I wouldn't be able to get, the extra socks that I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's a
with the
saving
extra
queen.
lace because I went about. I wasn't disciplined enough to get the to not get the ice cream. And I
Maya
mean, I
is,
know that's kind of juvenile, but that's where it starts. And with
yeah.
all of these things that we're talking about, don't think that we don't have struggles. We are people, and life be life in and all this kind of stuff. But we speak from experience too. And we know that everything is just a step in the right direction. So you might be renting right now. Okay, then you'll graduate to having a home. Nobody's asking you to do all this stuff at one time. First of all, it's nobody's business, it's yours. It's your business and it's your money, it's your life. So you tell us what your dreams are, and we help you make them come true financially. And you have to work on it.
I got a question for you. And then we talked about bids, budgeting, investing, debt savings. Budgeting,
Come
of course,
on.
is first. I got that memory. I got that memory today, but when I go talk to the doctor for that disability, I ain't gonna remember nothing. But
Hey, I'm waiting for my Narsum. It's coming this week. That's for another time.
How would you organize it, right? So there's different philosophies with savings, right? You save your emergency fund and jump to investing, or what would be your general recommendation? I know there are exceptions, but would you advise your clients or advise the audience, us, to budgets first, investing or savings, debt? Which order?
Ooh.
And when I say debt, I mean debt like housing, stuff like that.
What? This?
Yeah.
Okay.
So budgeting is first. That's your house.
Yeah.
And then inside your house, you're going to have a room for investing, ideally through your plan at work. If you don't have a plan at work, then we can discuss other alternatives like a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA or some other type of vehicle. But when it comes to how do you start, I learned this 30 some odd years ago, pay yourself first. Because if you pay yourself last, guess what's going to happen?
You'll never be first.
Right. It ain't, you're going to run out.
That sounds like Ricky Bobby. If he ain't first,
If ain't first or last.
Right. Right.
Great philosopher.
Right.
that's the best movie.
Talladega Nights. Right. So the way to make sure.
He's asking a question.
Say again.
I said so are you saying that when you start with your budget, you're actually starting with your savings first, then you go into your budget? Or how are you saying that?
Your budget is your house, like he said. This is where we start your money.
No, he's talking about the first item.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
The first item. So you have a feeling what your fixed costs are. So you're going to save first. You're going to put whatever it is that you know you can save comfortably month in and month out.
A lot of people say 10%.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people biblically they'll say like 10% for whatever, you know, for church, 10% for yourself.
So 10%
pay yourself
goes
first
into this side fund, this savings account that you have to discipline yourself not to touch.
Yeah, and discipline yourself to take it out first before you go anywhere.
And that savings primarily is going to be for emergencies. So the philosophy is 3 to 6 months of expenses go in there first. Once you achieve that milestone, then you can start saving for a trip, a new vehicle, you know, things like that, an upgrade, a new deck, kitchen, you know, what have you.
A puppy,
but a puppy, because they got some expensive puppies out there.
Yeah, they do.
$2,500.
Yeah,
no,
I want a mastiff.
No, thank you.
You want a what?
Mastiff.
I want 2 mastiffs.
Oh, 2 of them.
Yeah, 2.
I might have somebody for you.
I don't know how.
We know a guy.
No.
He's in St. Louis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know a guy in St.
Even
Louis.
better.
We know a guy. But that's where you want to start. So you have an idea. You're getting paid. You're netting on Friday $2,000, and your fixed costs are $1,000. You can put $50 over here, comfortably, because that's the number we want. We don't want the uncomfortable number, because the uncomfortable number you will start, but you will quit.
Finish. Nope, you will not.
The comfortable number, now all you have to do is just do it and stay disciplined. So we want that comfortable number.
And then you learn how to make it work.
And then we check in with you a few months later and say, hey, Jay Glass, are you still able to go to take Maya to the movie? You still able
Take
to
her
go
to
to,
Tokyo.
Red Lobster?
Hey.
You still able to do things? You still able to give them cheddar biscuits? And he'll say, hold on. He'll say yes. Then we'll say, well, why don't you think about bumping it up to $75 or $100 a month or a pay? And you incrementally, but we got to check in and make sure it's comfortable. If we check in, like, you know what, man, I'm barely able to do that 50.
Then that ain't for you. Yeah.
No, we're going to leave you there, but we're not going to ask you to bump it up.
Right.
Part of
So
your
that's
service
where-
is
that's
like being
where
an
we-
accountability partner also.
Yes.
For clients.
Yes.
Like
So that's
that.
what we have to, because if we don't, a couple, they'll quit, because quitting is the easiest thing to do in our life today. Quit your job. You know, they think this quiet quitting is new. People been quiet quitting my whole life. I'll be 57 in June. People been quiet quitting on a variety of things, quitting their marriage, quitting their parenthood, quitting their job, quitting, their church, just quit. And don't have to write nothing. Don't have to do nothing. Just don't come back.
Yeah, James hasn't paid Nia Richards' 401k. He quit that.
Wow.
Richard
I
got a
didn't
401k
quit.
pay. We can't even do matching because we ain't getting paid.
Hey,
401k.
I didn't quit.
Oh, the J Glass 401k got a match. What's the match? The J Glass 401k.
That's the packet he gave us. I ain't seen no dollars.
Hey, I didn't quit.
You not matching funds, Jay?
No, I trumped them.
Oh!
They gotta wait till the project is done.
Right. And then invoice me, and then I'm gonna get an invoice to the lawyer, and then the lawyer gonna talk to me about how I ain't paying.
Right.
And the money I should have paid you, I'm gonna pay my lawyer, not to pay you.
Don't forget the porn store. Oh, I'm sorry. What? Oh, never mind.
That was the last. That was the last.
I'm kidding.
Decade. Come on, dude, you gotta stay here.
So
Hey,
what
guys,
do you?
Oh, go ahead.
What do you say to people who are a little long in the tooth and they don't have, or they don't feel as if they have as much time to make what they hit their goal, but by the time they actually get out of the workforce?
Well, that happens all the time. When you're out of time and you feel like you're out of time. So one of the things that we have a conversation with when people are 62 and they are eligible for Social Security, we always tell them to take it. Now they have this sheet that shows you what you get at 62, 65, and 70. Take it as soon as possible, because that becomes part of your cash flow whether you're working or not. Right?
Yeah. You had a lean in on that. Richard, you had something?
See, I do just the opposite. I'd wait to 70. I try to max it.
No.
That are you going by the numbers? Because if I had bad,
because the crossover is 13 years on average. You know what I mean by the crossover?
I don't know what you mean by crossover.
All right, so the crossover, whether you take it at 62, you're getting, let's say, $1,000 a month.
Okay.
Every month for 12 months, right?
Okay.
So that's $12,000 a year. I'm 70, right?
Yeah.
So 8 times 12 is 96. So $96,000 did not come into my household, right? So now I start at 70. How am I going to overcome that 96,000? That's going to take another 3 to 5 years. That's why I'm saying the crossover is 13 years.
So I guess what I'm saying is, because I get those statements every year.
Yeah, I got mine over there.
So what I was thinking, I'll just wait and try to max it, because I'm betting on my life that I'm living until my 90s.
Right. See, and that's where the life insurance guy in me tells you that's a bad bet. That's a bad. Most people, especially most people that look like you and me, lose that bet.
But I have long genes in my family, so I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But guess
but
what?
No. I mean, we're not going to agree on every.
No, it's not. It's not even. I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is, so what? All you can ever be to me is the exceptional scenario. But if someone asks my expertise, and I tell them it's going to take you 13 years to cross over.
So 70 to 80. So I have to get to at least 83 to make up for not taking it at age 62.
No. The crossover will be like I take it at 62 versus taking it at 75.
No, because you have to take it at least age 70. You have to start collecting your Social Security.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is, by the time I get to age 75, I'm at the same place.
Yeah.
So now I need to ask myself, since I know I'm going to live a long time,
right?
Should I sacrifice $100,000 of cash flow? And remember, this scenario is the Jay Glass gave me. I haven't saved enough for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So if I haven't saved enough for retirement, I'm going to then wait 8 more years for a check I may never get. I might die at 69.
That's right.
So that's why my expert advice always with that is take the money at 62, because most people, because I got that actuarial science thing working too.
Right.
Most people are not, especially they look like us, may not make it to the 75 and start getting that 70 and start getting that bigger check and cross over. Yeah. Most people aren't going to do it.
Yeah, and I would respond back by saying, if you weren't making it by the time you turn 62, you can wait 8 more years.
Right. That's easy to say. Richard, you ever been incarcerated?
Oh,
no. Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
People say 8 years, like
okay.
That's a long 8 years.
8 hours.
And meanwhile, most financial professional you talk to, you know what they're going to tell you? You should have took it at 62.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to tell you. Now you do you. You can do 8 years. Like I said, you are the exception to the rule.
But listen,
you're not wrong.
Listen, when you talked about the house, because I was already impressed that the house is always an asset, and then Tyron came on, he was going back and forth, and you explained perfectly. Here's the funny thing. I thought Deuce was going to say this. So that famous guy that gives out the financial advice, Richard Kiyosaki, he made a great
because
he ran the numbers
Robert
years.
Kiyosaki.
So 15 years or less, your house is an asset. Anything past 15 years, if you're paying on, could turn into a liability because of all the interest you paid on it into the 30th year. Right. But I laugh because I see your point. The house is still an asset, but I see his point as well. And then President Obama came out in 2012 or 2011 asking everybody to go to 15-year notes. I remember this because I was kind of ahead of the game when he did that. So I listened to
So let me give you a personal scenario. This is 100% true. When I was living in Virginia, I bought a house for $500,000.
Okay.
Then in 2001. Then I came to Houston in 2004. I sold that house for $897,000.
Okay.
So what the Kiyosakis of the world never take into account is what?
Well, wait.
The growth, the value of my home. You can't calculate that as a rule across the board. You can't do an analytics on that. Now, I know my situation was an anomaly because I got into a bidding war on the street. There was a family on the street that wanted my house, and there was somebody outside of the community.
Okay.
So it just escalated up to $800 from $500,000 that I paid a $57,000 down payment back in 05. During the Final Four of 05 in St. Louis, I sold my house while I was at the game. It was amazing. $897,000. So I made a profit of $400,000 in 3 years. So did I win or lose?
And that was on a 30-year note, right?
Yes. And so my point is, you don't know how your house is going to grow in value.
Yeah, that's true. Appreciation.
So that amortization schedule that they sell off of and try to scare you, what out of look at all this interest, look at all this stuff. You don't know. But what you do know is you got a roof over your head. and you got a fixed cost that you can comfortably afford month in and month out.
I see both sides.
Yes, so do I. So do I.
Because you know what? You went through that. You made a huge amount of money. I'll keep a 15-year note because that's what I did. So, but it all comes down to discipline and knowing. Well, hold on. You got the degree in risk. This is what
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, mine in risk. No, mine was just in finance. But finance is the risk.
Is risk. That's a risk.
So
You know?
you know, I see where Richard Kiyosaki is coming from. I see why President Obama told people to buy 15-year notes, because when I saw the difference between my 30-year note and my 15-year note, I said, now I see. It was going to be a $300 difference. And I said, well, I guess I won't have no new car for a long time because I'll sacrifice that new car for
To own
For
a
a
house.
house.
Right.
Yeah.
To own a house.
It ain't nothing
Absolutely.
like
And-
not getting a car note. Not having to pay a car note is like, woo.
Look, I didn't have my first car note until late in life. I had always purchased my vehicles cash.
I don't want a car note.
I can't stand it. It's such a waste of money to me. But
Jay, what you can do,
Dependable transportation to get to a job. He's right.
Yeah.
Jay,
Very
I
good.
got that. But
Jay, what you can do is have your LLC buy your car.
that I have to figure out. I want to.
And then write that all, and then the LLC writes it off.
Yeah. I'd absolutely love to know how to do that, but that's one of the things that I'm trying to figure out, because that's one of the things that I don't know how to do.
Yeah, we can help you with that.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I started an LLC.
Well, hold on.
LLCs.
But listen to this. What he's really trying to tell you, I'm surprised he didn't say this a long time ago. When you start your business, your LLC, you make sure that that debt is on your business credit. So it never reflects your personal credit score. So you have your business credit score and your personal credit score. So if you filing out, you don't have financial discipline, do it in your business credit card. Don't do it in your personal credit card.
Right.
Well, yeah, and that part I understand, but I've done my best to manage debt overall, in a bit of a different fashion, so that whatever happens at the end of the day, my debt won't be the most consuming thing that I'm dealing with.
Right.
Right. And it's a learning
Right. So
process.
if I would have gotten kicked out the army 10 to 15, yeah. And so if I would have gotten kicked out the army 10 to 15 years ago,
we do better, because it's just like, what? Wow, I didn't know I could do that,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what wealthy people do is you have a business entity, and instead of taking a salary or taking whatever, you know what that business entity can do for that business owner? A loan.
right?
Is a loan taxable?
That's a great question.
No, it's not.
No, I don't think
the great
it is.
answer is no. Loans are not taxable.
I immediately thought about my college loans, and they give me the statements.
Right, but you didn't pay taxes on that loan when they gave you that money.
Nope, I did not pay
Right,
taxes
that money
on
came
it
to you tax
whatsoever.
free.
Yeah.
Now there's interest on the loan
Sure.
debt.
Yep.
But when they gave you that loan money, loans are income tax free.
I
So
never
a
thought about that.
business, instead of saying I'm going to have the business pay me a salary, I can have the business lend me money.
Okay, so here's a question.
The business structures the loan in such a way that the payments are tiny, 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 and they go out ad infinitum.
Because I don't know if this is a continuation or not a continuation, but if this is an inclusive movement for Financial Literacy Month, but talking about LLCs, S corps, so on and so forth. I don't like saying corps because it's course. S corps, depending on what you're using it with, CORPS, corporations.
But they say corpse because it's corporation.
Yeah.
That's why.
Right. But talking about the ins and outs of those and the differences between those S corps, LLCs, corporations, C corps, so on and so forth. I don't know what your if that's inclusive in your financial literacy information, or if that's a different topic or conversation for a different time.
Yeah, that's a different topic for a different time. But Stephanie and I represent the group, but we got a bunch of background singers behind us. So we have a team on the accounting team, on the legal team, and all that stuff. So we're the face because we lead with life insurance and protection. But for the estate planning situations and scenarios, wills and trusts, we have all those resources in our organization that we can speak to. But I like to keep things real simple because when we allow things to get complicated, people get confused. They tell me I said one thing when I said something else. And that's why we always like to keep things nice and tidy and jargon free for the most part, so we can truly inform and educate. But I'll give you, that's why I tell people our life insurance is a tremendous tool used by the wealthy. That's how they stay rich. They buy as much life insurance as they possibly can. So when they pass on, they start the next generation off.
They start young. Yeah.
That's how the next generation starts off on third base. They're not starting off at home plate or first base. They're starting off at third base because there's no estate taxes due. There's everything transfers nice and smoothly. There's no probate, yada yada. There's none of that stuff going on as a rule with the wealthy. Now we got some exceptions. We got some celebrities that die without wills, and we know Prince and
Aretha.
Michael Jackson and Aretha. Well, they found Aretha's will
next to the bag of Cheetos
in the couch cushion.
Okay.
But for the most part, that people are.
Mike had wills too, but it was just
this stuff happens where it's people. Business owners have buy-sell agreements, right? But they're not funded.
Okay.
So when my business partner dies, I'm now in business with his or her spouse because we didn't have an agreement.
Yeah, buy-sell.
Where so a buy-sell agreement allows me to buy out my partner's spouse, so I can own the company outright.
Yeah.
Oh.
So in a partnership situation, most people don't even have the agreement. If they do have the agreement, it's not funded. Meaning, if a death occurs, you're still in the same situation.
Okay.
I have the right to buy you out, but I don't have the money because I didn't fund it with an insurance policy.
Okay. And
because my partner's spouse is not going to care about
because they weren't in business.
Our business.
Yeah.
My partner's spouse will want to get broke off.
Yeah.
Got
they're
it.
not going to continue more than likely they're not going to want to continue the business. So that way, you buy life insurance so that you can
buy them
out.
Because if you don't, then they're going to be coming for money until you can afford to buy them out. They're going to keep coming week after week, month after month, year after year. Because
Richard, I saw you lean forward a couple of times. What was going through your mind?
I was trying to read. This is what they were saying, and then read the text. So no, I'm listening.
Oh, the comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw something.
So when you tie the insurance piece into the bids, right? What does that look like?
Well, that like your insurance premium is part of your budget. That's where that goes in. Life insurance, just like car insurance will go in there, just like homeowners insurance will go in there. Your life insurance goes in there. Or, if you're making a high dollar income, disability income insurance goes in there because that's paycheck insurance. That's what protects all those things that you pay for with your paycheck. Most people don't have disability income coverage. And so what happens is they become disabled, and slowly but surely those things start to fall apart. One of the number one reason for foreclosure is disability.
Really?
Disability. And when I say disability, people are like, well, I'm not going to slip and fall. I'm not going to be in a car accident.
That ain't
8 out of 10 disability claims are for illness. Cancer.
Diabetes.
But really bad diabetes.
Yeah, that's what
kidney failure.
Yeah.
MS, lupus, things like that. People when they hear disability, they think of
Wheelchair.
Well, you know, I'm not going. Nothing bad gonna happen to me physically, and that's not the true experience. The true experience is people come down with illnesses, chronic illnesses.
Mm-hmm.
And chronic is that thing that just stays with you and goes on for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
Like arthritis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very bad rheumatoid arthritis will put you on claim if you have the coverage. Now, if not, guess who's going to cover you? If you fight the good fight with the government, you get SSDI, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the first time you get stand in front of them, guess what they're going to say?
No.
No. And they're going to drag that on. They're going to drag that on for years until they say yes, and then they're going to give you years of back pay.
Yeah.
That is
They'll retro you all the way back to the first no.
That is not yours.
Yeah.
To spend.
Right.
That is not back pay.
It is back pay.
But I mean, it ain't your back pay.
Right.
You gotta, yeah. It's not what people think. So, I got my back pay. No.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff, but it all ties together. That's why, you know, and Obama came up with this month. This is his month. Financial Awareness Literacy Month is an Obama thing. He started
budgeting,
this
investing
in his second term.
So I was like, ooh.
You know, he's also the one that enhanced the consumer protections.
Yep.
And making credit card companies put all that information on the statement.
Which is coming undone.
Yes. The black president that never did anything for black people.
Oh.
That's another show too.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's another show too.
Look.
But yeah, that's not true. He did a whole lot. You just don't see when you are a leader that looks like us. You can't roll in there and say, I'm just going to do this for
everybody get a stimulus check.
I'm just going to do this for the people that look like me. You roll in there and you do something that helps everybody, but it especially helps the people that look like you.
Yep.
That's how you do that. You can't ever say, I'm just going to do this black thing.
Jay's for everybody.
You can't ever do that as a black leader. That's stupid.
Yeah.
But you do stuff.
It would be suicide. Yeah.
You do stuff.
Yeah.
And you know who is going to help. You know who is going to benefit the most. Just like you create these scenarios and you know who is going to hurt. Right? Right? You create these executive orders knowing full well who is going to hurt.
You use an antiquated law to kick people
out. 1700s. You got tariffs. When America used tariffs in the early 1900s, that's when we had the best. Are you serious?
Golly.
I tell people all the time, if you got to go into another century or into another decade to make your argument, you have a bad argument.
Yeah, it's not a valid point.
Well, hold on.
You know,
Here we go.
In the court of law, that's what they look. Roe v. Wade is as old as you. I mean, come on, you have to go back on those cases. So I don't necessarily agree with that all the time.
Well, no, not to make your argument. Yeah. I'm going to make this change because back when I was in the day when we had a horse and buggy, that's how things. No,
okay,
that's what I'm talking about. At
my last job, we used to do this. You ain't there yet.
It's funny you talk about these tariffs.
Yeah.
I saw on one of my internet links, somebody has remained quiet until after they have their shareholders meeting in April, I think.
And now they want to talk to Al Sharpton.
No. This person is one. This is the number one investor in American history, and he's not saying anything right now until after he talks to his shareholders. So
Buffett?
Warren Buffett is remaining quiet about these tariffs. So let's see what he has to say after he has his shareholders meeting here.
Well, I heard today that they're thinking about de-escalating the trade war with China because you know what, and this is once again this comes down to leadership.
Oh boy.
Okay.
You got to know your adversary. Yeah. These ain't no punks.
Right.
These look like they saying we've been around for 5,000 years. Right. Y'all pushing 250.
Right.
Y'all need to have a seat.
Well, here's the funny thing. This is where it gets catchy. Here's where it's not just about money. It is about race. If Donald Trump claims that he's a white man from heaven,
What?
Hold on, just hear me out on this.
Okay.
If you claim that you're a white man from heaven to come back and save America and make America great again, if that's your racial superiority complex, then you bet not back down to no foreigner. You bet not, because you told white America, you told black America, you told all of America that you are number one in the world. I don't want to see you backing down now. I want to see you uphold your racial supremacy ideas. Don't you, foreigner, especially from the Far East? I don't want to hear that. I'm just saying, if you tell me you're racially superior to me, then you ain't backing down to no foreigner across that ocean.
And they are. And they are.
I told you that we wouldn't be able to really. We're in a tariff war with China. That's what I was saying last time. It's an impossible feat.
No,
because if you back down from China, then you're basically telling me that you're not as racially superior as you claim to be, and then you're telling me that the dollar that I believe in, that's fiat money that has no value but only in the eyes of perception, then you're telling me that your dollar is no longer number one. You can't back down from China.
It's too late. He's already started the back down.
Yeah, he's backing down. Yeah, he's backing down.
Then what
has already started?
This is a high but where has
Say that again, Richard.
I said, if he backs down from China, then you can't act like you're the number one white man on earth. You're letting down all the other white people who believe in that racial stuff.
Well, so, I disagree. I disagree, and the reason why I disagree is because you're counting value in this, actual value, right? Monetary value, intrinsic value, moral value, so on and so forth. But you actually said something that is the actual truth of the whole situation. It is an act.
Yeah.
It's all an act. We are watching the biggest doggone stage play of
reality show.
Dog and pony show.
The Apprentice. Yeah, it's The Apprentice on
You're
steroids.
fired.
Yeah, that's what we're watching, that's what we're experiencing, and that's what we're being forced to live through also.
But what I'm saying is this: if you came down in the elevator in 2015 acting like you're the savior, that you're the quote, the greatest thing America has seen since, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln, and you're counting on your whiteness to carry us through, then you cannot allow someone from the Far East, a minority, to beat you. Because what you're saying is, if you allow China to beat you as the number one white man in America, then you're telling me that the white man's power in America has been diminished.
When
you look down upon me racially, I can stand up and say, I know who I am as a black man, but your prejudice is so strong that I have to kind of respect it because you believe in it so much, because you got the rest of the world believing in it. So if you back down now to China, a minority, then where is your racial pride at, Mr.
I'll tell you where it went. It went out the window when they began to realize Nebraska is going to be bankrupt in the next few months. When they stopped USAID and they began to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Right, when they began to have their farmers lose land, and the government began to the government isn't going to even be able to step in to fix that situation
because they're depleted.
So, so
they're depleted.
And once China said that they are strategically hitting all the red states, all of that went out the window.
Wait a minute,
all of it went out the window.
Hold on a second. See, this is where the argument goes back to the economics. If your money is not backed by gold, it's just flat money, then it's always in the perception. So go print up some more money and send it to the red states.
Oh, hold on, give me a second. My man said y'all putting on for the older folk.
I'm just saying.
Real fast.
Anyway,
no, it's like talking about China being a minor. That is the largest majority minority.
Yeah, they got 1.3 billion. Yeah. 1.3 billion and climbing.
Yeah.
And look, because they had the little girls. They come get a couple of them. Y'all can adopt these because we trying to fill the country with boys. So y'all come on. They got people to spare.
I tell you what. Check this out. If he backs down from China, he'll wish he had never backed down. Number one. Number two, when he's asking Americans to have more children, I kind of laughed because I said,
talking about us though.
He wasn't talking to nobody of color.
They need more white children so they can keep the majority.
Yeah, they
That's
went back to,
that's what they're looking at.
yeah,
They're looking
went
once
back.
again, Richard. They're looking at the crossover, which is coming, I think, in the 2050s.
Yeah.
The crossover where they will no longer be the majority in the United States.
Because
Well,
he has,
but you don't have to
deported everybody else that's doing the work.
But listen, you don't have to be the majority because last time I checked, I don't ever see the faces of the American money, the dollar bill, $10 bill, $20 bill, $100 bill. Those faces are not going to be black faces or Latino faces or Asian faces. So as long as your face is on the dollar, you still run the country. It's still your country. Now, if you put President Obama's face on there and start changing it up, wait a minute. Then maybe we
on 100. Give me 5 of them Obamas.
Woo!
Give me a stack of Obamas.
We can't even get
Tubman, Harriet Tubman on the 20.
Yeah, I'm like,
you know what? And I knew when they were talking about doing that, along with slave reparations, I kept saying, if y'all keep pushing this, you're going to get a pushback like something you ain't never seen before. And so the pushback is here. It's been here, started in 2016. And I'm not saying that I agree with everything that President Trump does or everything he says is right. Some things he does, I agree with. Other things I disagree with.
What do you agree with that he says?
You got to fix the border. You got to fix the border. You got to do that.
That's a talking point.
No.
That's a feckless talking point that comes up every 4 years.
I'm pro-labor, so no, ain't no talking point.
Right, but he had kids. Didn't he have kids in cages?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he have kids in cages?
First term?
Didn't he have kids in cages?
Aluminum foil blankets.
That's not a fix.
That's wrong. What I'm saying is,
did he build the wall and have Mexico pay for it?
Well, hold on.
I liked how strong the Mexicans came. They was like, "Oh, you want us to build a wall?"
So here, you cannot allow people to come to your country legally and work. Now, someone on last week said, we have to find companies. We have to find the companies that hire these people. I agree with that as well. We should be doing both.
I said that.
We should be doing both. So I'm not
No,
trying
I agree. If illegal is in the statement, I don't agree with anything illegal.
Yeah.
Right.
But
so in other words, we don't want to scapegoat minorities for coming to the country because they're being told to come here anyway. But we also want to find the companies that are hiring these people. So it kind of goes both ways.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. No, because some of the companies that are hiring these people are the companies that are saying, let's find the companies to hire these people.
Correct.
Yeah, and some of the companies hiring these people are also saying, get these illegals out of here.
But not my house.
But not my illegals.
Not my house. Not my
this
business.
Is disrupting nannies.
Not my construction business.
Nannies and all this stuff.
Excuse me, it's you.
Their staffs are depleted.
There are no perfect presidents. Because I see, if you go on Facebook, you'll see people clowning the Democrats. You see people clowning the Republicans. They want us divided politically. Of course, we've been racially divided from the time we started this great country. So, we're all divided. We can't look. The financial people, most people in America will never be financially disciplined. And if you're a minority, you're going to be even worse off because we've been conditioned to go out and get what we need right away. We're not conditioned. In fact, even when I was in college, they talked about investing because they said you invest so you can beat the rate of inflation. But I was taught as a poor person by colored folks that you save money first. And then the only thing that they would do is the life insurance. They didn't do no investing in Wall Street.
Yeah.
So y'all were talking about,
that was complicated. Complicated.
It was complicated. But here's the catch to that. The colored folks were not wrong because when you were saying the only reason you lose if you try to sell right now, you hold on to your portfolio and let the market come back. You go back in the past, you'll see that, quote, the wealthy people were always the ones that were, quote, insider trading on Wall Street. So they already knew when the things were going to go hit the fan.
I believe a big misconception is that we think that rich people have their money in order and are disciplined. But when you go back in recent history, you will see that those buyouts prove differently. So don't sit up here and tell me what I'm doing and not doing the right way when you're in the same situation, but worse, because your debt is way bigger than mine. But then you use my tax dollars for the buyout. So it's like I don't pay my debts. I just make more money or take more money from people that have less than me. Correct. That's a huge misconception to think that just because somebody has money, that their ducks are in a row, that they're financially stable.
Right. And so this is why I push back on the undocumented workers a little bit, because the reason why Elon Musk cuss.
No, I'm just saying, like, what's even in this conversation, but right.
Yeah, the reason why he started going after Social Security was because of the billions of dollars that undocumented immigrants actually add to that. And that fund is not parceled out to anybody or any other thing. It's a thing within itself that's paying Americans. And he wanted to tap into it and privatize it so he could get that. He's already got billions of dollars in contracts, but he can't get that actual money. And that's a portion of government money that billions of dollars have been poured into by undocumented workers. And if they're gone, that fund's not replenished as fast or as frequently as everything else could be. And so it gets depleted. And now Americans, right, who are coming up that should have this money will no longer have it offered. It becomes a thing of the past.
And again, that's correct. But as long as your money is not backed by gold or silver or anything, as long as printed up off of perception, you can print up as much as you want to. And that's why when they want to put billions upon billions into the military defense of America, they don't think nothing about it. But if you ask them to put billions upon to make sure we have universal health care to take care of people's health in the number one country.
No, that's too much. That costs too much. No,
yeah. And look, to even back up the veterans, put up some money to help them to keep their homes and their families while their husbands and wives are putting their lives on the line, and they come back to nothing still.
If you probably didn't have so many minorities in the military, maybe they would change their opinion.
Well, which is one of the reasons why a lot of the laws that are coming out from SecDef are being changed. For instance, the law targeting beards, the law targeting being able to have one or not. The Army recently changed the test. It was the ACFT last week. This week, it's AFT, right? So there are sweeping changes that are happening to purposely disenfranchise us. Look at it happened in January. The event where a lot of Black officers were recruited from top colleges that has been seriously just cut off, right? So there is a disenfranchisement type of movement that's happening. Tuskegee Airmen is no longer taught in Air Force Academy.
And remember what I said last summer? I said when Black folks were talking years ago about the slave reparations, I said, I don't want it because I know the pushback. When they were talking all the slave reparations and all that, I said, no, don't do this.
I want it.
I want it, but I
even got a name for a mule.
I don't want fiat currency as my actual reparations. I don't want that because they control that. And that's the part that I agree with you on as far as the value of fiat currency is concerned. I can agree with you on that.
Look,
but I want precious stones, precious minerals. I want silver, gold, and land. So that's what I want.
When you put a Black man I don't care if he is half white. When you put a Black man in the White House, not one term for luck, but 2 straight terms, you put Black people on TV and all these great shows
and commercials.
I said to myself, well, wait a minute. How many Black folks we got in this country? Because every time I turn around, I see a Black face. And I said, I'm not even white. And I'm looking at this saying, I wonder what's going on. I said, there's too many Black people doing too much stuff at one time. I said, this ain't the country I was born in. What's going on?
It's just about time as far as even like the regular commercials and stuff. It happened even before. I saw an influx of the change before Obama got in office. But I was like, wow. And I'm proud of that. And that's just the way. And look, another thing I've noticed is a lot of interracial couples in these Cheerio commercials and stuff.
Hold on.
And I'm mad at it at all because it is a reality, you know, and I'm just like, people need to get up off of it.
Hold on. All the black men from years ago that would, you know, date white women, marry white women. I said, it's just a matter of time before sisters get fed up. And when she gets fed up, I ain't talking about no overweight, ugly sister. I'm talking about them beautiful ones. Okay? Those.
Jesus Christ.
I'm talking about those beautiful black. So when they came out that TV show Scandal, and they showed that beautiful black woman, Kerry Washington, and the president, I said, uh-oh, it's on. And sure enough, I started seeing all the white men just grabbing the finest one they could grab. Oh, there's one. There's one. And they start grabbing them. But hey, that's how the game goes. You don't treat your women right, somebody else comes and grabs them.
Well, Richard, let me give you some fun facts.
Okay.
88% of married black men are married to a black woman.
Except for the NBA. I'm just kidding.
No.
I just said that to make you mad.
No, don't make me mad because I got the other one.
I know.
Black men who make $200,000 or more and are married, 95% of them are married to a black woman. So we're tripping off of a thing.
Wait a minute.
It's not even a real thing.
Hold on a second. You got to send me those links because
I'll send it to you.
Okay, send them to me.
Somebody just said something about
because if I go to the NBA and the NFL, this is where that's
a small.
You missed the word though. You missed the key word. Married. Not Shannon Sharp.
Not side pieces.
Not Shannon Sharp.
No. I
married.
Only band.
Wait.
No, married.
I'm gonna put Shannon Sharp on the side for a second.
Okay.
If we go and look at some of the most famous basketball and football players who are married. So we go to Dr. J. His first wife was black. His second wife was, I think she's white. Okay, that was Dr. J. Bill Russell, first wife was black. His next wife was white. That's Bill Russell. Will Chamberlain, we can't count Will Chamberlain.
Wasn't married. He was never married.
Exactly. So Michael Jordan, first wife was black. Second wife, well, she's
Cuban.
But she identifies as
She brown. She
white.
brown.
He said
white.
she identifies.
No. Cubans, those white
She
Cubans
brown.
identify themselves as being white. All right.
They do.
We go to Scottie Pippen. He's always been with white.
Yeah,
Okay,
but that's the 5%.
Let him finish.
That's the 5%.
Go ahead. Finish.
You listen to 5%.
I can keep counting.
All right, so do this. Okay, who's the best black actor?
Denzel, Samuel, Lawrence.
Who's the best? Just give me the best black actor.
That's so tough for me.
That's Denzel.
Okay.
What we doing? Who's he married to?
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Give me the best black anything. If you want to do this game with me, give me the black person at the top of the and 9.5 times out of 10, their wife looks like my wife. That's all I'm saying.
Wait a minute. Because I was already counting, and then you start you
wasn't looking. Once again, Bill Russell is dead. Will Chamberlain is dead. I told you, you got to keep it here. You got to keep it here. Keep it in the 2000s.
Wait a minute. I pointed out for a fact, because I can take it a step further and say, well, if that's the case, if you say all these actors and athletes, their wives look like your wife, then I would say, where the dark gals at? See, we can go over to that dark gal situation.
Well, we don't need to go into colorism.
Hey,
that's the colorist.
Who is George Lucas married to?
Yeah, that's true. Who? Yeah, George. What do you mean? Who? George Lucas? He only made one of the greatest series in the world.
Yeah,
his wife is black. But I'm not talking about George, because George always been down. George made Red Tails. When George made Red Tails, I knew he was down.
Hold on. Look, Sidney Poitier. So you said this. Sidney Poitier.
Listen, you're listing the 5%. That's all you're doing, Richard.
No,
I'm not.
Listing the 5%. No, I'm not. What I'm telling you is this: you give me a black actor, and I'm gonna give you another one. So let's get it started.
So that part's not the debatable thing. What is debatable is that you will run out faster than what he will.
No, I don't. No, I will not.
Yeah.
It's 95% where he is.
Oh, okay.
And
we're talking about 200,000 plus.
Yeah, and what we also have to remember,
95%. So he's listing 5%ers. You're not wrong.
No,
but you're still listing people on the 5% list. Just like if you started listing billionaires, If you
Yeah.
started listing billionaires,
No.
what percent would you be listing?
Let's go down.
The
You
1%.
said
1%.
You said, hold on. You said Denzel. I came back with Sidney Poitier. Give me another name.
Sidney's
hold on.
dead. I need your people to be living. Yes, he's dead.
Yeah.
I need your people to be living.
Yeah.
No,
Richard,
because history is history.
Richard,
No, let's go by
Richard.
history.
My statistic is for today.
No,
It's not a historical
we're going
statistic.
historically.
My 95% is today.
Wait a minute. When we talk about financial investing and all that, we're going historically. And
I
historically,
know, but you changed the channel.
No,
This
I'm not.
is
I'm just saying history is history. A record is a record.
Look,
If it's factual, it's
Richard, can you make your argument with living black men? Yes or no?
I'm counting all black
Yes
men
or no?
because I'm giving respect to Dr.
All
King.
right, but I'm asking you a question.
No.
I'm asking you a question.
All because I'm going to give respect to Sidney Poitier, whether he's dead or alive.
But he's not part of this argument.
No, he is.
This
'Cause I'm
stat
telling you
is with
factual.
living. This is living black men
Oh,
earning $200,000 a year.
birthday in June. Tell me that. When's your birthday in
This
June?
is this is
What?
living black men.
When's your birthday in June? Lynn?
20th.
So you're the last day of June Gemini. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a June Gemini just like you. Okay.
Okay.
I know Fat's a June Gemini just like us. So I'm going to count all these people.
All right, but all right. You listen. I hear you're going to count them all. I hear you're going to count them all.
Right.
But could you do me the respect of answering my question?
Go ahead.
Can you just count the living?
No, I'm
I know
counting.
you can. I know you can, but you won't.
No, because you got to count them all.
I don't have to because my stat is based on the living.
Oh my gosh! If you're
I gave you a living statistic. I gave you a living statistic.
right, but when you do your financial work, we go back in the past and count it all the way up.
No, if someone is asking me about what a mutual fund has done this year, I'm not giving them the 20s of last
But you
century.
go back to the past so you can.
No, I don't.
Present to get to the future. Oh yeah, you have to go back to the past.
No.
That's like them. That's like Europeans telling us that they taught us education when we were teaching them back in Africa. You got to go back to the past and go up to now.
So with that being
this
said,
statistic is current day.
What you say, James?
even with that being said, right? Because you are absolutely taking a small population of a bigger picture, right?
Mhm.
That's such a micro picture and population of what we are nationally. And so if you take the quote unquote 13% of quote unquote black Americans, and you use that picture, right, as to the 95% versus the 5%, regardless of the financial disparities between the two groups, and even excluding the 1%, right? But you take it as a whole, you're not going to be able to continue mentioning people. And that's the part that I'm speaking on. So I'll concede this part to you. The majority of celebrities, black men that are celebrities, I'll concede that. Black women that are celebrities, I'll concede that. But I also understand in that concession that there's also a specific group that they're maneuvering in, and there's so much less of us than what there is of them. And so you're exposed to different people at a different rate and a different place. Like, I'm not exposed to the same people as I am now economically than what I was when I was 15, 16, 17 years old. So I'm not going to continue to be in those same ballparks and hang out and make those my actual circles, right? So sure, take the 5%, but if you're going to take the 5%, expand that and use the whole, use the 100%, right? And then work from the 100%, and you'll run out of names to actually drop.
What I'm saying is, I don't believe it's 95 to 5. I think
I know that.
is a little
You
bit
need
lower.
the proof. You need the proof.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
counting them all though, and you refuse to count them all.
No,
Because-
if you count dead people.
Huh?
You count dead. You're counting more dead people than alive people.
All right, let's count live people. Let's go. Count live people then. Come on.
He already started with Denzel
Because
Washington.
I'm not telling you part of the story. I'm going all the way back in the past and coming all the way up.
Right.
That's the only
Okay.
way I like
So,
to talk.
Richard. So this conversation I would love to have with you separately. I don't want us to lose people. I don't want us to lose people over this. This is not worth it. It's not worth it to me.
No, I
It's
got
not
you.
worth it to me.
No, I got you. But I just know this. When we're gonna talk about history and we talk about numbers or debt or savings or anything, you go back in time. Because
Right.
you go back in time so you can study the past so you can understand your present to get to your future. That's
I
what you
understand. All right. So Richard, I agree with what you just said. Here's the problem we've been having. Hold on. You have not agreed with me. What I've said is that I gave you a today living statistic. Today, 2025. That is the statistic today. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So if you're doing history and I'm doing today, we're never going to marry up. So we're wasting our time.
Yeah,
it'll
take a while.
Because we've been having a good flow, a good discussion. I'm good.
Here's what I know. Anytime someone wants to talk to me, we're gonna go back in the past. And we're gonna find it all. Because what happens when I talk to people outside the culture, they only want to look at what is happening today in America. And I say, no, you go back to the foundation of this country.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come up. They don't want to do that because it's not going to make them look good. It's not going to make them feel good. They'll say, oh, you're living in the past. No, I'm looking at the past so I can understand where I'm at today to get to tomorrow. That's it.
And I see your side. I see your side. Now see this side. If somebody slides their 401k statement that ends March 31st in front of me, and I say 3 years ago, this thing was a 7-figure account. Are they going to want to hear that from me? Are they going to hear that from me? You don't even have to answer. The answer is no. They're going to want to know what's going on with my March 31st, 2025 portfolio. And that's all I'm saying. So I get your, like you said, you see both sides. I always see both sides. I have to. But that's the world I live in.
But listen, if a person says that they're only worried about what's happening to them today, then they're not ready to be a good financial investor. Because if you're only worried about what you see on today's financial statement, and you don't understand how in the past people have lost money, but they got it right back down the road, then that person today who is only looking at today and what's happening today, then they're going to be like, I need to sell right now. Then you have to say, hey, look, this is happening in the past.
What the scenario I'm giving you is their question is about today. So when I ask me a today question,
right,
they want a today answer. Right. I can give them the history. Hold on, I can give them the history lesson too.
Okay.
But if I don't give them the today answer, I'm getting fired because they don't work for me. I work for them. So when somebody asks me a today question, I have to give them a today answer. That's all I'm saying. And that's what I wanted from you. I wanted a today answer, and you giving me people you don't even know is dead. That's all.
But what I'm telling you is I'm counting them all. I don't go by today. Because if I live by today, I don't have hope for tomorrow. I have to go back to the past. So I have hope for today to get to tomorrow. That's my mindset.
All right. So Richard, if I were to ask you, Richard, how are you feeling today? You would give me the ancestral answer, or you give me the today answer?
Depending on how I felt 2 days ago. If a person tells me they're only concerned with today, you know what I tell them? If you're only concerned with today, then you shouldn't worry about tomorrow. You shouldn't worry about it. You don't
live in the present.
Huh?
You live in the present.
Yeah. And so your whole idea about financial literacy is about tomorrow, about hope for tomorrow. It's not about today. It's about hope for tomorrow.
But it starts in the present. You got to make these changes. You got to make these budgeting changes. You got to make these investment changes. You got to make these debt correlations today.
But all those
investments. Hey, Richard, have you ever been told that you remind people of Sterling K. Brown?
Okay.
Is it K?
Sterling.
Why would you complicate it? Sterling Brown.
Sterling Brown. You know who that is?
Yeah, he's an actor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a famous actor. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he is.
He's really good, but no, I don't. No,
and he's married to a black woman.
Everybody.
I was hoping it's a compliment.
No, fine, but no, people tell me I don't remind them of nobody they know. Nobody.
Really?
But listen, if you're not passionate about what you believe in and how you feel about life, then what you living for?
Right.
So, I say things on here and people here think, oh, he's a Republican. Oh, wait, I don't understand that. So they don't know how to peg me. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm me. I used to be a Democrat, but I know the game they run. And I know that game that they run is the same game the Republican Party runs. So no, you can't catch me on the plantation on either one of those parties. No, So
What
this
was the
good
name of that movie where
party.
we were watching with the plantation? And Antebellum or whatever was it?
Richard is my Steve Urkel. But who is this Polar Nice?
Polar. Polar always coming with the
He
jokes, but
always says,
Oh,
What'd he say?
He's Steve Irwin.
I'm Steve
this is
Urkel.
Steve.
Oh, come on.
Well, wait a minute. I wish I had Steve Urkel's royalty money. Hold on.
I'm telling you.
Hold on.
Jaleel killing it. So with that being said, we're going to get ready to transition. Now I do owe everybody an apology, right? I was trying to get stuff together, and I put us 2 hours ahead of where I actually wanted us to be. Yeah, I wanted us to start at 8 tonight. We started at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's 3 o'clock your time. And I wanted it to be roughly 5 o'clock your time, and so he's Richard's Pacific Standard Time. Y'all are Central, and I'm Eastern. And
Where are you, Richard?
Richard, you in LA?
No, I'm in Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
Sacktown.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for the record, Mr. Glass, I'm in court and I'm being sued. They put a lien on my home. So for court purposes, I have no money. I have an outrageous amount of debt. And so for legal purposes, I want everyone to know that I have no money. I've never said that I had any money on this podcast. And I have a lien on my home. I'm fighting in court to clear that judgment off my home. And that is that. I have no money.
So I put
That
the
recording is
disclaimer
going
up.
to get subpoenaed.
No, because I never know who's watching me.
Oh, got you.
So
Yeah.
I have to be consistent. And so when I say about illegal immigration and labor, and I'm fighting to get my presidency back, I am pro-labor. So what I say on my stuff will be the same way I say here. And if anyone says, well, Richard, you don't like white people, I say absolutely not true. I said I fight for everyone equally, even transgender who are part of my union. I fight for everyone equally because when everyone gets paid money, we all get paid money within my union. And so since the majority of my union are, quote, European Americans, when they get paid, the rest of us get paid.
Well, what I need you to do is when they get paid, you push them. When they get paid, you push them over to the Mederis Group. That way they can get some budgeting done and get locked in on some of these plans.
You know what? The hardest thing that they're teaching, and they say they do this expertly, getting the American to be financially disciplined.
No. But that's how you can win.
How come we don't talk about ways to make money today as well?
Keontae, you are more than welcome, and I'm glad you said that. So I'll put that back up for you, Rich. So let me say this and make sure that everybody knows and understands it. If you have a topic that you'd like to come on and talk about, and you want to co-host it, by all means, hit that email link in the ticker. Right, send me an email. That way we can talk about it. We'll get it scheduled. I'll have you on, and we'll go in talking about different ways of making money, be it passive income or finding one of those jobs that are diamonds in the rough that nobody really wants, but are paying $500,000 a year.
Get it in black job. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. We definitely do that. So I'll talk about a passive income that I stumbled on here lately, and I plan on continue doing it. I finished
questions, but I don't want to ask. I'll contact them. It's about other stuff, so I'll ask them off.
Yeah.
You talking about the Mederis Group?
You talking about us?
Richard?
Right.
Okay.
Fantastic.
We'll be happy.
Questions that I have, that Deuce had, that Mr. Glass has regarding money.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're happy to help you.
With that being said, let everybody know where they can find and contact you all at for the Mederis Group.
Go ahead, babe.
Okay. Online, it's the well, actually, our email is info@themederisgroup.com. As you can see above my head, Mederis is spelled out. It's actually 3 little words. Me, dear, is not deer in the headlight, but dear because you're our dear clients, or you will be. So me, dear, is Mederis. It's info@themederisgroup.com on Facebook and Instagram.
It is
At the Mederis Group.
at the Mederis Group. And if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. 832-655-5635. 832-655-5635. I'll say it again. 832-655-5635. The Mederis Group. And we are here to help. And Richard, we'd love to talk to you because that's our goal, to help people. Sometimes I feel we are not attorneys at all, but we get in your business, if you will allow us, and we brainstorm, with you getting the outcome to help you.
Yeah, we're solutions oriented.
Yeah.
And so that's what a lot of people benefit from our knowledge and our experience. Basically, we want to hear your problems, and we want to figure out different ways to come to you with solutions that you're comfortable with and are affordable for your budget.
And again, we do have people in our back office or our team that are well versed on so many things, even legal issues too. So we would definitely be able to help in any way that we can.
All right, perfect. And of course, we can never leave the Family Bloodline podcast into our final thoughts. So, with that being said, we're going to ask the Mederis Group to knock out your final thoughts first.
Go ahead.
Real simple final thought. With this being Financial Literacy Awareness Month, now is the time to ask those questions. What we always tell our clients to do is write them down, because you think you can hold them in your head until you have a phone call or a conversation or what have you. But whenever you have those conversations, just have a notepad near your laptop and just write those questions down and hit us up. And we promise that we will answer all of your questions truthfully and honestly and set you on the right path.
My final thought is, when you're going on a date, take them to the park. Don't go to a movie because you can't talk. You're in the dark and all of that kind. Go outside in the daylight. Go for coffee or ice cream. Have a conversation. And it will save you time and money. That's male and female. And believe these people when they tell you who they are.
True enough. All right. Rich, what you got for final thoughts today?
Discipline for savings.
Say that again.
Discipline for savings.
I should have said that. Yeah.
Investment, savings,
Budgeting and debt.
savings.
Investment, debt. Budgeting, investment, debt, savings. Yeah.
So it starts, like I said, it starts with budget.
Yeah.
And I think there's more ways than one to skin the cat.
Absolutely.
But it starts with that budget of this.
Yeah.
Your mic is going in and out.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you better now.
Yeah. I said that's a tough thing to teach an American is about budget, having discipline to save money when everything on TV is about buy. Hard.
Yeah.
I can agree to that. That's your final, those your final thoughts?
That's it. Nice and quick.
All right, I appreciate it. So before I get into my final thoughts, what I want to make sure I do is Stephanie and Lynn, if you all are available on Wednesdays, I know we only have a week left in the month.
Next Wednesday is the 3rd.
We're gonna continue the conversation. we're gonna continue the conversation because I'd like to begin to also tie in, of course, insurance, right? Because there's another rollout in, I believe, September for the insurance month. If that's what that is, I think it's September, right?
Yep, September.
Okay, all right. I thought I was on, but I want to start getting ahead of the ball game and make sure we continue to talk to people about that throughout the year. and also get y'all's input on the topics that we're gonna probably come up with for next week, and bring those all together, not just for the good of the people that are on the panel, but for the good of the culture. Because I will be pushing this out amongst us, the airwaves, of course, on Stream TV and Spotify and all the other podcast places that we are. So I wanted to ask you all if you would have time in your schedule, we'd get together. I'll send you a message later on offline so we can make sure we can make that work out. And if not this month, that's okay. We got next month as well.
We will look. We'll make accommodations. We'll make time for the one time.
All right, one time for the one time. I appreciate it. And so for my final thoughts, it's simple. It's simple-ish. It's simple in theory, but it's harder in practice. And it's something that I'm learning here lately. And that is staying disciplined to continue to be successful financially. The Black community, and I've been saying this for the last few years, the Black community has been projected to spend, and this is just the Black community alone, right? $1.98 trillion in the year of 2025. And I've said this before, that $1.98 trillion does not come back into our community enough at all. We are still seeing the GoFundMes for funerals. We're still seeing people doing catfish dinners for funerals. And we don't have to do that, right? We don't have to do that. If we haven't learned anything just yet, it's that our community has to take care of our community. And that doesn't mean that we don't love on the other communities, but it's just like Dr. Cornell West said, you fill your own cup up with love first and you allow it to spill over to everybody else. And we don't just do that spiritually, because I think we've gotten that part, right? I think we've figured that out, be it Islam or Christianity or whatever else we're looking at, but we haven't done it economically. We haven't done it financially. And if that's the part that also has to come into play, we have to make sure we begin to do it financially. We have to employ each other. We have to educate each other. We have to make sure that we are creating a space for each other to be successful. America is going through some pains right now, and it's never going to bounce back the way it was. It's not. And if we don't take this time to learn from the history so that we can understand where we are presently and be better in the future, we will have missed something very important, and that could quite possibly cripple our culture financially for the next 250, 300 years. And that's the unfortunate truth about it. So whenever we get a chance to discuss finances and be better as a culture, I always want to take the time out to do that. We have to, we must. It's of the utmost importance, especially understanding the dynamics of our society as a whole right now in America. So with that, those are my final thoughts. I'll put us back like this. I like this better. I like this one better. So, panel, y'all got anything else?
Nope.
What's the next topic coming up?
I'll send y'all a message and let you know. There's a lot happening in the world right now.
Ooh,
a lot.
yes.
From China to
Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon.
Let's go offline. Let's talk about Shannon Sharp. Let's talk.
Okay, we can do that
we gotta skedaddle to another client meeting.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
But Richard, it's been a pleasure talking to you. You got a great smile, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. And I'm y'all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, great! He took notes.
Oh, yeah.
What is Franz Fritz and is that your name?
Oh, that's a whole nother story. Y'all got a client to get to, and y'all ain't gonna have time to get to the bottom of the story tonight.
Right.
Hey, yes. Thank you. Hey, this one was for you, Lynn. You a beast. My man was like, yeah, you killing it. You on top of it.
That's a bad boy. Wait, show him your shirt. Show him. Look, Jake, look at this. Look at this shirt. I got it made for him.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Okay.
And this shirt it's a story. I'll tell it to you one day.
All right, so everybody come out, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to come out and support the podcast. We've been here for a while and we love doing it. With that being said, as always, I appreciate y'all for coming out. Thank you and good night.
Good night. Thank you.